extremely fascinated as a human about another intelligent life.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. There you go.
What
Welcome back to For the Lord
commercial
podcast. Today we're in a very magic place right now. As far as everything that's around of this event, from the cooking to the family vibes, to the seeing the art influences, the stories, and it's just so inspiring to be here. So the person's place that we are sitting in today, somebody that I've met, again, no coincidence, 93 Studios. But it happened with Under the Bridge when the first time I met him. Not met him, seen him. I don't think I probably said hi and that's it. But seen you as a person you are, as the energy you carry around you. And the one thing that right away they pointed out to me is just like, one, this is an older dude. And he's dressed. I called you from the beginning Santana. Because the way you dress, it reminded me of Santana with the hats and everything. And it was just like, you don't like, for some reason, that style, like, that style was from back in the days, like when you were young, that kind of style, that kind of wearing hats. And a lot of people don't carry them with them as they grow older. For some reason, they fall into this uniform look. But no, you look very unique. You look to your who you are. And right away, without actually knowing him, I felt inspired by him. So once I started knowing you more, knowing about you and the 93 Studios and how you're connected to everybody, the 93 Studios and how you met them, and every time I see you too, it's just so amazing, man. It's a great feeling. I already know it's gonna be a good day. With a lot of these people in this room, I say the same thing. And always, your wife. She's always been there too.
Miss Maria.
Miss Maria. You always have some funny shit to say. You always made me laugh every time I see
That's
you.
what it is. Real shit. Yeah.
Like every time I see you, it's like, I remember you. I used to have the shirts and this and that. And like, I love how the excitement you get when you saw me in every event. I love the excitement that you saw every time you saw my product, and when I told you what it was about and the meaning behind it. What I want to see with other people that support me have is that look of happiness of like, oh yes, I get it. I want to do it now, you know. So that's again another good energy and another sharp dresser. When I say one of my favorite outfits is when you wear like a red coat with red boots. Yeah, that was awesome. That was amazing. But this is Roman and Maria.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's amazing what these young brothers are doing to share the energy and the spirit and the history of the Southeast side. I commend you guys. This is really great. I was kidding around one day when I told everybody, I said, you know what? I started listening to this. You know what? I'm learning from this. One of the most important things that I learned in listening to this podcast is the originality of our community and what we're offering to the world. We're not duplicating nothing. We're sharing original music, art, feelings, poetry, writing, film. This is a very, very, very a neighborhood that really has a lot to share. I always tell people, like for instance, a lot of people when they would ask me, you know, once we were still, that was our main product here. Now, the arts is the new steel.
Wow.
This is what we are now sharing, and through what is happening, like even tonight, like what we're sharing here tonight, we're sitting here at our home here, me and Maria. We shared a dinner with everybody. The experience of what it is to be fellow artists and sharing experience in life and amongst each other. And that's beautiful. That's very beautiful. And the fact that what we're leaving here is a legacy. A legacy of not giving up, trying, keep going forward. That's very, very important. Thank you guys for joining me and Maria here at our table. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've known you for quite a bit. I think I've known you before you actually met me. I've known you as like a South Chicago legend, you and Maria. From a lot of people, you guys are art parents. You guys have been in the scene since pretty much the inception. And from me growing up in South Chicago, you guys in the area, I've always been curious. I've always been a fan. And once I got to know you guys, again, always welcoming, always super. We're family. We just had a beautiful dinner here. You welcomed us into your house, and it's like a museum in here. It's beautiful. There's so much art. There's so much history here. To finally get a sit down with you, we chopped it up a little bit with the Legends episode on the South by Southeast. We had Frank Corona, Steven's grandfather, with the documentary, but all of you guys had such deep knowledge and information of the neighborhood and everything. And me being South Chicagoan, I would love to find out more. And every time I got to talk to you, it was a knowledge of wealth of information. How did the arts for you begin? I want to know the inception and everything.
Well, it's interesting to me because it's like a lot of us, we're given a gift. And I always remember when I was a little guy, I don't remember exactly when it actually started, but I remember my mother saying that I was always good at shaping clay or putty. You know, they would sit me down, they would give me something, and for some strange reason, my hand and eye coordinate was something that was kind of, it's almost like if you were given the gift of music. Or you were given something special. Well, mine was shaping. And it was really interesting that I carried this this energy for since I was a young man. I mean, I was a kid, but there was a passion. Some of the first things that I remember when I was in my early grades at Phil Sheridan, because I went to school here in Albany, South Chicago.
Shout out to Phil Sheridan.
Dolor, Bowen. So I am totally South Chicago, born in the bush.
Yes, the bush.
But the passion was that when I was first asked, I think I must have been in first grade or one of the grades, and they were doing some drawing. And they ask everybody when you're a kid, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? An artist.
Wow.
So the passion was there. It's always been there because it was given to me as a gift. It's a regalo. That's something that said, hey man, this is for you. You know, but what are you going to do with it? See, we all have something that's given to us, but we never know when that gift is ours or how we're going to use it. I'm very fortunate that I was able to continue this as an artist, because I've always felt I was one. But it came through all the things that happened in the community to create the artist that I am now. In other words, I went to the steel mill, as a youth, to the gang violence, the military, the Vietnam. This is all part of an experience that creates an artist of my caliber as an urban artist.
Wow!
Because all we're doing in this whole period of time when we're learning is we're sharing. A lot of my experiences and my early works that people always come in and ask me questions, we're sharing. That's all I was doing. I never considered myself that I was doing anything really great or anything like that. Because if it was, it kind of overpassed me in a certain sense. But the energy and the spirit to share the experience, you realize years and years later, because when you first start off as an artist, you really don't think that it's going anywhere. It's just something that you have a passion for it. It's when you get to the level that I am now at 72 years old, finally the world asks me, hey Roman, what do you think? That's a long time before people start asking you, hey bro, what are you doing? Wow. Which is cool. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's part of la vida. Now, if I was doing this for any other reason other, let's say for instance economics, okay, well I'm gonna make some money on this. Wrong. It doesn't work that way.
Why?
Because number one, the passion doesn't revolve around money. It helps. Mind you, it helps. Because right now, myself, I was able to survive, me and my wife Maria, through both of us, because we share the passion for the arts
Yeah.
in different ways. Hers, a maestra, and the things that she does with her artwork. It's how we dealt with it, how we were able to survive. Now, if we wanted something that, okay, we're going to make money, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, well, I would have to get another job. But we have to realize that life didn't give us that. We have to realize that in South Chicago, we were almost a middle-class community. We have to understand one thing that's very important about what happened to us as a community. We were middle class. People started buying homes. We started buying cars. We were thinking of sending our kids to college.
Which is
there was
wild.
all these things started happening to us because for only one reason. We were all working.
Yeah.
They took it from us.
Can you dive a little deep in that? And then I'm going to interject. We have all the artists here from 93 Studios. At any given time, fellas, if you have any questions, chime in. You know what I mean? I would love to hear you guys' perspective. You guys have your own unique relationship with Roman and Maria. So at any given time, chime in. Roman, I would love to hear the progression of the steel mills. We chopped it up with the Legends episode, but I'd love to get in depth in your perspective more.
Well, to share a little bit of what happened that day when we did the Legends thing, like we all grew up with this, almost in the same pattern, like Coco, Steve Walsh's grandfather. We all came, basically, we all were raised different, but we all came to the same pattern. It was like the same pattern. We had to leave something behind. That was really important to us because when we went through it, it was devastating to a lot of us. And I'm pretty sure that me as a male would understand one thing, but we also have to understand what happened to our women during this period. What happened, like, for instance, my wife, Maria, the experience that she went through raising our children when the decisions that I made weren't the best decisions in the world. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of things that we had to go through as a couple and raising a family. And then we had to realize, what happened? Very simple. We were trying to survive.
Survive.
We made mistakes. And I'll be the first one to step forward and say, like Brother Coco, Steve Walsh's grandfather. Yeah. We made mistakes, but at the time, what was interesting about what happened to all of us, we never talked about it. None of us did. But we knew that all of us were somehow or another, we all went through the whole same thing. But we have to also realize what happened to the women who were standing behind us when all this happened. Yeah. Now, that's a completely different story.
Absolutely.
Because if whatever would have happened to me, she was responsible to keep this family together, whatever life gave us. So we had to share this together. Yeah. Whether we wanted to or not, like I said, mistakes were done. But for some strange reason, in our relationship, in our gift that was given to us life, we were able to share our experience together, share our knowledge through the arts and our love for the arts, and create a living for ourselves and for our children. And we left a legacy for our great-grandchildren to see that no matter what diversity life gives you, you're able to deal with it. And that was real important. But we also have to understand this is a male speaking on what happened in this period. But a female perspective, like my wife Maria, is different because what she went through, it's a little bit more different for us because we're men. Okay, I'm going to deal with this and that. But no, the responsibility on what happens when these things happen is the woman.
Yeah.
So I would like to pass it over to Maria real quick.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm glad. I'm glad, Miss Maria.
It's important that we share this because of the fact that that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm going to start by saying a lot of friends and women friends, they kind of like, I'm old school, but yet I also believe in my belief as a woman, and it's been there to this day, is that I feel that once, I'm really old school, once you find your friend or mate or soulmate or your partner that you choose that in your life that you want to be with, that's my belief. And so therefore, through thick or thin, as they say, hard times and bad times, and that's was my belief. So when we did go through some hard times, and you have to face a reality on certain things, and you have to bite the bullet and just hope for the best. And I'm a heavy person who believes in my faith, and I think it's very important. A lot of people, it turns people off, but that's doesn't faze me, because in the art world, a lot of artists don't believe. They believe in whatever they want to believe, but I don't judge that, because I don't want them to judge me. I believe in what I believe, and therefore my honey here, he's like, yeah, but he doesn't block me from what I believe in, and I believe in family. I believe in being given Roman the fact that we had gone through work, and then he said, Marie, I want to be this. I said, well, then let's go for it. I didn't get a job in my life. My purpose was to be the mom, make sure everything at home was okay, no matter, friends come in like, damn, shit, floors ain't done and stuff like that. But that is the reason for that. Why I don't want the floors done just yet. It makes you humble. We survived all this stuff. And so therefore, when we were going to go through some hard times, I turned around and just said, hit or miss, we have to make it with our children. And families, to me, having a father in their life was super important, because I never had a dad. So it was a whole new experience to have a dad and to have someone in. And a lot of my women friends, some are here or some are gone now, they were like, what the hell is wrong with you? But it was just my faith and my belief in myself. And I found life later. My son was 15 when I got my first job. And I always wanted to be a teacher in the school system. And again, I go back up with my Lord. And he made me a teacher for almost 40 years, independent contractor, working for many, many different organizations. And right now I'm in semi-retirement, so it's a whole new world, a whole new path.
That's amazing.
It's beautiful.
And welcome, guys.
Thank
and
you.
I like when new people come over and they like, what?
Yes.
Freak out. But
I was
welcome.
blown away by everything. Yeah, it's like a living museum in here.
It's alive.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Turn that mic up a little bit. Yeah.
He's wearing headphones.
Just as everyone else speaks highly of Roman, everyone that I've spoken to sees you as the mother of art. The you're behind.
I get adopted sometimes, and it's okay for me,
But I think that's much needed, because, like you said, as growing up, not just you, but a lot of us in the South Chicago neighborhood, you grew up without a father. You grew up without something missing. So if you have a Roman here that kind of guides you, and you have a Maria here that guides you in the opposite, maybe not opposite, but it's a different direction. You have the male energy, and then you have the female energy. And everyone, all the artists I've spoken to, they spoke very highly of you. You for some reason, have impacted them. Where did your desire for art start?
I wanted to entertain my kids when they were
Really?
little. So when they were little, I said, I like puppets. My kids were into Sesame Street. We used to have a Goodwill down the street. So I went to Goodwill and got everything that looked like the puppets of the Muppets. So I came home, and my very first set of puppets was Open Mouth, Sesame Street. I started small, slowly went higher, and when the Thing, he was like freaking big. So my puppeteers were my own children, my nephews and nieces. It was a lot of fun. I still like puppets. I'm a great grandma now, so I'm thinking of coming back out, but in time it has to happen. Along again, my new path in life. And I once I did the puppets, then I never got into painting, but my friend Gamaliel said, Marie, you see color through fabric. So I'm a mixed media artist.
Yes.
And then one time I showed my mom this beautiful quilt I had made, and it was for an organization, a women's place. And she says, you didn't get that from me. where'd you get that from? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do. And I truly want to learn to paint, but I just feel, when it comes, it'll happen. But I do a lot of odd things, mixed media art. So, and my love for entertaining my kids is what started me on being who I was all these years, teaching in schools. And I enjoyed it, and they enjoyed me. I kind of freak when I meet adults. Like one time at Jules on 106 years ago, I bumped in around Christmas time. My hands were full of groceries, and I made the turn, and bumped into somebody. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But it was a tall person. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And the guy looks, hey, you're my puppet teacher.
No way.
Yeah, it kind of really, that kind of
Full
stuff kind of
circle.
throws teachers. You know, it's a proud feeling, yet it's like, what? You still remember me?
Wow.
But I enjoyed it. I do enjoy teaching, and I do, and I don't know, it's just life in general with time, you know, you got to retire, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. But, you know, I got still family and friends to teach and stuff like that.
Where do you think that comes from? The I like teaching, I like that feeling.
I think I didn't get it from him. I mean, no, that didn't happen. I love watching him create. I love
Footnote
all
on that,
his
I would
work.
love to.
I love in our early years when he used to do sculptures, I was like, nah, that's gotta stay. That's gotta stay. Then I had to realize that if this is our living, you have to sell it. So we have many photographs
Footnote
of
on that
early
as
work,
well.
and so there are very few and in between pieces that are my personal collection, but you know, it's not too many, you know. But I ask him for advice, but my friends,
Can you hear me when I...
my friends who are gone now, they turn around and inspired me. I had two mentors, Pat Divine Reed, she's still here. She's a great painter, oil painter and painter. And my friend Gamaliel Ramirez, he got me into Urban Gateways, which was an art. It was created by mothers, African American mothers that wanted arts into the school.
Wow.
When it first started.
What year do you
That was in
remember?
the 80s.
Wow.
You know, and it was a beautiful organization, Urban
that's a
Gateways, but
beautiful
now it's
program.
dwindled. And you know, but it taught me many things. It was great.
Wow.
But other than that, I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Cool. Anything else?
I forgot what I was saying.
No.
No, not yet. Absolutely did.
You know, I mean, one can go really into a lot of things, but I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for. I mean, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
It's amazing to hear those stories though, because the reflection of the influences that you're making. When somebody tells you, I remember this, I remember that. That's always an amazing
That
thing.
happened to me at the YMCA. I went there maybe 8 years ago. They had a function before it turned into the senior center now. So I'm in there doing a workshop on behalf of one of the organizations, and this young lady, she was doing some workshops. She was a beautiful young woman, and she's looking at me. She's like, "You don't remember me? You don't remember me?" And I'm like, "No." And she goes, "You taught me this, and that." And I'm like, I'm like, "Wow, thank you for remembering me." You know? And like the other day, we were at that campaign yesterday.
Oh, for the automatic race.
We were there,
The debate.
and at the debate, after the debate was over, a young woman came over, and she happened to be the daughter of our friends. They're now, her parents are now both gone. She comes up with this camera. Hey, this you? Is this you? And in the camera was one of Rome's early pieces of wood.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, "I've been wanting you to show you this that I inherited from my parents."
Wow.
And then here's another mind blower. When Rome was at the Intuit, the show, the one-man show.
Which was a beautiful, beautiful display. Beautiful. I want to talk about that as well.
We got a letter, a note, email from the woman, and she. Now this is a mind blower. I used to go to Project Venceremos over here across the street from Immaculate. And there were teachers there. It was a college. So one of the teachers was married to the director. And then, later in life you forget whatever. And then that teacher got in touch with the Intuit, showed a photograph. She goes, I don't know if this is the same person, but my husband and I bought a wooden piece of a woman. And I just came across the picture the other day. I just would like to know if it's the same guy and if he can sign it.
Oh.
Now that's a mind blower.
Wow.
Isn't that true?
That's amazing.
This is good things in life.
Wow.
Well, one of the reasons too is because at that time, for some strange reason, I wasn't signing my work. I don't know what possessed me, but I always say, "Well, I know I did it." Who's ever listening to this, sign your work. Very important. Wow. Don't do what I did, because people will always ask. Because right now people are even asking me, well, can you still sign the work that it's important. Wow. That signature or that mark that you make is very important. So that's a very good point, Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I came up because Rome has a lot of paintings, as you know, guys.
Yeah.
And so, I said, okay, let's this year let's clean up our stuff and sign this stuff. So Rome was up here painting. So I came up with 10. He signed them. I washed them down. He signed them. I came back up with 10 more. On the third time coming up with 10 more, he goes, where's this coming from? And I like, wait a minute, don't freak me out, dude. So I go, we're doing this. He goes, all right. So then I come back up, and he's painting an old painting. I'm like, what are you doing? All I want you to do is sign it. He goes, it's not finished yet. I go, we're in trouble. There you go.
Never finished.
Yeah, that's the story.
That's why I started touching them up. I said, wait, but it's funny because when you don't see your work for a long time, like yesterday, we were at that function for the 10th Ward Aldermanic race of debate, and he was a dear friend of mine, John Chico. We used to call him Nardi. But one of the things that I kind of giggled a little bit to myself was she remembers her hair.
Oh, yeah, wow. That was so funny.
It's not that she kind of had an idea, because Maria always had this hair
curly
that a lot of people remember her by her hair for some strange reason. Oh, I remember your hair. Well, this young lady
that's what she
happened to mention that, and I go, wow, that's interesting.
We were sitting in front of her, and she goes, I was telling my friend, is that Roman and Maria? Is that Roman? And I'm like looking at that wild hair, and I'm like, gee, I thought I tamed it. But it was funny.
No, but it's interesting how we leave these little tidbits of memories with the community that have been shared for a long. Like one of the ones that I remember that me and Maria did on a whim one time. That became a legend. A spook house.
Oh.
Something very, very simple. All we were doing was entertaining our children and the children of because we were at that time we were trying to connect with other artists. So we decided, well, let's turn in my basement at the time. Let's turn it into a spook house. Well, little did we know that small little thing that we did for a few years to entertain our children became something that a lot of young people in this neighborhood remember to this day.
Wow.
And it wasn't like see, a lot of times when you plan certain things like this and you go, well, I want to do this because, no, that's not the way life is, It's when you do it for, and in this community, when you ask a lot of kids that grew up in this neighborhood around that period, they'll always remember that spook house, that haunted house.
And the funny thing about that is that we are friends, grown people. They say, I want to be a monster. I want to be this. I want to be that. I mean, they literally, I can do this. I can do this. And it was for hours, man. I mean, we had, the line went that way. You go through the back, come out through the front.
We had a line.
It was intense. It was like, wow. But it was fun. We had fun. I love Halloween. That's one of my favorite Halloweens.
When you do things for the sake of the arts, that's the key to what we were doing at the time. We weren't really looking at let's do. No, we just did it
because for fun.
And that's how a lot of things that we used to do. Like, for instance, when we used to do our earliest, our favorite always be the block parties.
Wow.
With block parties that kind of disappeared. Yes. And at that time, we didn't have the right Latin representation, so we had to go through a lot of changes to have permits to do these things. So one year, we just said, you know what, we're not playing this game no more. We started being a little bit more guerrilla, more like this. So, you know what, let's do our own thing. So we started throwing block parties.
Wow.
And they became fantastic.
At the time,
But
we had
my
our
most
friends with
famous
bands.
one that I always remember was when the cops came looking for me.
Oh yes.
You guys got a permit? Yeah. Who got the permit? Roman. But mind you, they're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Well, where's Roman? Well, I think he went in the end to do some kind of something. He'll be back in a little bit. But as soon as he gets here, I'll make sure that he got. So okay, well, you tell him that when we come back, when he gets here, let us know when he gets here so we could talk to him. No problem. So we kept. It was just funny the ways we used to do things. But I remember Alderman Buchanan. Finally, Alderman Buchanan pulled me in and said, "Hey, man, what are you guys doing?" So he started talking to Morse about the arts, and he goes, "You know what? I'm gonna help you guys out." He says, "But here's what he wanted. That's how far back we wanted to have a cultural center in this community, and the movement goes all the way that far back. But it had to be under his name, John Buchanan." So I said, "Well, that's cool, brother, no problem." Till I went to my first meeting with the community, and they unplugged me.
No.
Because my way of thinking in that time, you got to figure I'm a ex-Vietnam veteran coming out of the military. I was already involved with the Chicano movement, so we were a little bit kind of bold in some of the things that we were asked. So that particular day, I got up in front of the mic and I said, "You know what? I don't even know what's wrong with us. We don't need the city. What do we need the city for? This is our community. This is our children. Why can't we build our own community center that belongs to us? Why do we've got to be asking him, and him like that?" Next, click.
Wow. You're canceled.
So the message kind of went, but the real people who heard it, we followed through, which was the arts.
They resonated.
The fellow artists. We kept the momentum going.
That's beautiful.
That's why we were a part of the Pilsen movement, Humboldt Park, because we were the free people. I used to call everybody, "No, man, we're the free people. We don't," because at that time you got to understand we were part of the movement of the hippies. When you realized what happened during that period, we were dropouts. Let's drop out of society. Start our own thing. This and that. So we were, in a strange way. When I came out of the military in the 70s, I brought a lot of that back to South Chicago. A lot of the spirit of the hippie movement and the way we dealt with things. Because it was funny, when we were younger, we had our children, we didn't even have a car. Maria could tell you, we used to take our kids around in a wagon.
What do you mean wagon?
A little
wagon. We would walk around with all our kids, and then we would start bringing other children's kids. Next thing you know, we had this parade of kids that we would take with us to Cal Park.
Right.
But we were learning not to accept the things that were going on around us. We was, okay, well, let's do it differently.
That's what.
Wow.
And it was a really interesting experience, but we took a lot of that from what we learned, especially myself.
Yeah.
What I learned when I was in California, and I learned about what was going on in the movement, and I really, really loved it. I lived it. Because you got to figure, we had just came from a gang movement.
Yes.
Well, we were heavy gangbangers. We were fighting with the police. We were doing all kinds of things. And all of a sudden, we came back with a peace. Let's see if we all get together and let's stay calm. Let's see what would happen. Yeah. But we had to do it individually. We knew that it wasn't going to happen and no big thing. But as human beings, we were the first thing. Like I always used to tell people, if you want to do something first, you be the example.
Yeah.
Because you're the example of, if you want to do something, you're not going to have big steps. It's not going to happen right away. But if you're a good example on what's going on in the positive for what you're doing, it will work.
Yeah.
And Maria and I have shared that experience, together as husband and wife because of the way we dealt with especially when we went into education. Yeah. Somehow or another, all artists, speaking like to Matt and Shapeless right now, Aaron and Shapeless here with us now, and Joel, you eventually will have to teach. It's almost inevitable that people will come up to you and say, "Hey man, you're doing this. Can you teach our children?" Because they want to share your vibe for the arts and what you're doing. And that's the most important thing, because right now, teachers are the most important thing in the United States right now because we don't have enough of them. Most of the most top teachers right now, they're gone. They're retired. Like my Maria right now, she's the most top artist that everybody wants to work with her because she has a knowledge, the feeling for the children that's different. You cannot teach anybody that and how to do these things. Now, I'm so proud of what these young brothers are doing now because they're stepping up to the plate and sharing their experience now with our future children. Because everybody that goes through us now, through the arts, is somebody that's going to share that same experience later on with somebody else.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, Aaron, Matt, I commend you guys for what you guys are doing. I think that Joel, I love what Joel's doing. I love what Joel's doing. He amazes me, you know. You know, well, what's interesting about us sitting here at this table right now is that everybody here is Renaissance.
Oh, I love that. What does that mean to you, sir?
Renaissance
What is that
to
word?
me means that
Cortez.
we do multiple. Like we're into the música, we're into the poetry, the writing, the thoughts. Renaissance means that you are a multi-purpose person and what you're doing and how you're sharing things.
The creative arts. The creative arts.
So Renaissance is a really important word because we're all literally sharing that experience.
It's beautiful.
Like in all other hoods, like in Pilsen, they have their group of artists, and even in Humboldt Park, and even up north, every neighborhood of artists, I think, if they're not, if they're cool to just share, they can make the community better.
Yeah, because see, some artists won't share. Like, for instance, I've been around for quite a while. Because I'm part of the Pilsen movement. I was at Casaslan. Then I moved over to the Flatiron. I was on the north side for a long time. Then I was in Indiana for a long time. That's where I met the Kisa and all these young brothers. So I was able to see the progression in all the different neighborhoods as a fellow artist. So when I came back to South Chicago after I left Indiana, I said, no, now it's my time to start doing something in this community. You know, because I've shared my experiences or our art career with all the other communities. So, you know what? I think it's time we came home.
Beautiful.
And
That's
in that
nice.
sense, well, I had already met Matt through festivals when I first was introduced to him. And immediately when I first met him and I seen what he was doing in the early years, I said, dude, he got it. To myself, this young man got it, you know, because you could tell when somebody is persistent on what they're doing. There's no, they don't waver. And I would see what he would be doing, and I go, wow, this brother got this.
And that really came into, like, really what it was like, at those festivals, me being one of the only tables selling artwork that wasn't Roman and his people, even at that time, because this was like 2012, 2013-ish probably. And we met at a festival and then linked back up maybe like a year and a half or 2 years later, and then got taken to Under the Bridge, and I didn't even realize that I was going to talk to him again. We talked that day about, so you need a place, you're still doing it? Like, yeah. And so then I was probably working there a couple days later.
Nice.
And working out of there.
That's dope.
But it was like that of like, yeah, man, you know, going and doing festivals or any kind of shows, you set up a table and stuff, and like, he's there and I'm there, and yeah, you know, like, but I tell you know, I've always talked to every vendor or any artist that's set up and stuff, but it is that staying consistent and actually going out and doing it. I remember that first one, I was out, it was in the middle of the summer, and I was getting beat by the sun the entire day, and every time I would turn around, Roman had a full canopy tent set up with the sides and the whole thing, man.
Fan.
Sculpture set up right in front of it and shit, and like
Mini
staying
fridge.
cool, and yeah, man, it was like that difference of like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah.
look at, I could just look over there and see how much I'm already, yeah, exactly,
Right.
what I'm lacking right now and shit already.
But we used to be like that with no tent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
At
for
Hyde
sure.
Park.
Yeah.
Every year we went to Hyde Park to do the art festival. And
I-
then it got a little, some reason or another, every weekend of that festival it rained.
Oh.
So then I'm like, And then the price got higher to join, and
Yeah.
then we had a
Well,
fire.
no, that's how we
and
survived.
totally-
It was called the
totally
gypsy-
took
the-
our,
the
our
gypsy
life
life.
changed.
It's called the Gypsy Life. We would do festivals every weekend. We were working somewhere.
Right.
And my son, he at that time he was man, he was a little strong, little vato, because we used to be able to move things, you know. I mean, we talk about when you do a lot of shows. And then being a sculptor, man, that's a lot of work.
Huh.
You know, and that's how we survived. You know, as far as you know, the movement, and then
And I sold sock puppets.
Wow.
I really took that sock puppet thing because when the Bears were winning, I made bear puppets, sock puppet
cool.
bear colors.
I want to interject real quick. So you guys, to me, are artists, and you guys have been in the game for so long. And I've known Shape, and I've told Cortez, like, even in Joel, how do you guys price your stuff? But for you, growing up in a different era, how did you manage to survive off of art? Was it purely off of art? Was there extra, like,
Well-
what was that?
well, what it is when you're an artist, hook or crook, you're going to survive. You're going to survive one way or another. But the problem is, the best schools that you go through, they'll teach you art, but they won't teach you how to market. Marketing is something that you have to develop by yourself over the years, and how to sell your work, how to price your work, how to work a crowd, how to do these things. You're not taught this. You have to learn this by yourself and learn how to walk into a room and network.
Yeah,
and
teach
talk
yourself
about
how to
this
ride a bike.
and put, and you know and get to this thing. It doesn't come easy. You have to sort of like you have to learn it as you
By mistakes
things.
and yeah.
But it's one of the most important things that you have to learn is how to market your artwork.
Don't sell yourself cheap. I mean, because you think like, oh, this $100. Well, maybe that's too much for the people. But in reality, you have to figure out
Your
how
time.
much it's your idea. It's
Yeah.
how long did it take you to make? What was your investment? These little things all add up. So don't be scared of $200 or
Yeah.
anything higher that you feel.
Well,
You know.
and as an artist who experienced this, I encourage them to think twice about their prices and how they're dealing with it. So I will share with Aaron, Matt, Joel, and this. Like for instance, the other day, Joel was showing me a piece of artwork
Yes.
that he's working on.
Amazing artwork, by
And,
the way.
I just happened to glance at it and I go, bro, let me share something with you.
Uh-oh.
Turn it sideways.
Stand
Turn
up.
it this way and look at the angle that's going to happen with your work. Because I think he was looking at it in a certain way that
That's
was kind
that,
of like
that
flat.
interwoven piece,
and,
right? Yes.
And then when I said, bro,
Yes.
just look at it this way. In other words,
Yes.
I'm just share. I don't want to, to intervene in his work. But I said, look, brother, I'm going to share something with you. Now, how another fellow artist would share with another fellow artist, that's up to the individual artist.
Yeah.
But I felt, look, bro, let me share something with you, And Joel, speak on it. I mean,
Yes.
how you
Get
felt
in. Yes.
and,
Get out. Yeah, yes. He said so. Now you have to speak.
I automatically, I saw his point of view. It was amazing. He sees things from a different point of view, and he showed me his point of view, and I really liked it, and it's in progress already.
Oh.
Yeah, I already made a few cuts. They were really fun, yeah, and they made the
My
piece.
ass, you have like 10 pieces, 13 pieces in the making, and fucking, you do
This
this
is energy,
nuts.
man.
And what, he
Yeah.
started like, 4 months ago?
Yeah, so
It's fucking nuts, man.
it's really
It's
cool.
awesome.
Really cool. That piece looks really, really cool, and yeah.
And when the need comes in a sculptor's world, because I've seen it through Rome, you're mesmerized by that stone.
Yeah.
And I gotta finish this part. Well, let me finish this part.
Yeah.
And then before you
Then
know
3
it,
hours
damn,
pass
I gotta
by
go home.
for-
But
So then
it's
you
the
know.
love.
Dinner's
It's-
getting cold.
Yeah, and it's the love of the art. It's the love of that stone. Because
Yeah.
what amazes me about Roman is that when he, through all these years, when he turns around and starts, hey, what's your idea here? I don't know. See what the stone brings out. And through the years, I'm like, oh my God, what made you think like that? Like we saw a friend at the show before it closed, a good friend. He's a photographer, and he was working for the Illinois Arts Council. And years ago, we had a fundraiser in the 80s. We needed to make a fundraiser, so Roman made this beautiful piece dedicated to women. It was beautiful, and it had a cut in the whole thing, but it was women. And I was like, oh, you gotta give that up. You gotta give it up. Well, this guy won it in the fundraiser, and he says, Marie, I still have that piece. It's such a beautiful piece. So it the love of the stone is amazing to me for these sculptures, like his work and my Roman's work.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
To speak on that, can you give me a rundown of everything you kind of do, like your dossier? Because you do stonework. I've seen you do multiple. I guess it's multimedia. So can you give me a rundown of almost as best as possible?
Well,
Beside painting, obviously.
well, as an outside artist or a non-degree artist, you're always learning. See, I don't know, Aaron, you went to an art school, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to the American Academy of Art.
See, when you go to with something like this,
I didn't finish.
they give you like a set criteria when you do things, and kind of go like this. But when you're an outside artist, you have to learn by yourself.
Yeah.
So you experiment. You experiment with all the different medias. Like for instance, in the art world, there's cubism, impressionist. There's all these different styles. So what I did in the early years, I started doing a lot of studying, and my knowledge of art is intense. And I know who did what, who did this, but it's the will to want to know where you fit into this. See, say for instance, if you just started going like this, and you realize, well, where do you fit into this? A fellow artist who has gone through it knows exactly where you're fitting in. Now, when I first ran into Matt in the early years, the first person that came to my mind was Jackson Pollock.
Ooh.
Immediately.
Wow.
You know, how he was approaching it and how he doing. But now it's no longer Jackson Pollock. Now it's Shapeless. Now it's Matt's work. Because Matt continued to develop. Now it's his.
Yeah.
In other words, everybody has to learn from somebody. You know, it's not plagiarism, but you have to, all the way to the beginning of time, somebody has to learn from somebody.
Bruce Lee, you take everyone a bit, style, influence from everyone. You're like, I'm going to make my own style.
Yeah.
With that being said, like, what were some of your influences coming along the way?
Well, some of my early influences to me were, but the funny thing with me is I refuse to study his work. Moreau, he was a sculptor, and he was one of the baddest sculptors ever to me.
Who was it?
Miro.
M-I-R-O?
Well, no, there was not Miro. It was it will come to me in a minute.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's just in my mind right now. But his work was so powerful to me that I didn't want to be totally influenced. So it's real hard to develop something that belongs to you.
To be unique.
Because everything has already been discovered. The only thing that you could do is just touch it up in a different way. Like, for instance, there was an article published on me about a month ago with Cezanne. Now, if you're familiar with who Cezanne was, he was a nut. But in the 17th century, when he was the artist, he was the beginning of the Impressionist movement, the way he was approaching art and this and that. But as a human being, that was a strange dude. Now, I was compared to him.
We're all strange. Wow.
I was compared to him in the style of the way I'm approaching faces. In other words, in Cezanne's work, they were not. He was just showing movement and this and that. I kind of developed it by accident, and eliminating these and just doing form. Now, if I would have gone to the art institute and I would have been studying Cezanne and all these, then I would say, okay, this is where the influence came from. But I didn't know him.
Yeah.
I just did it
naturally.
Yeah, but to be compared to him,
I love that
in the art movement, because his show. Actually, we were both having a show at the same time at the Art Institute.
Oh wow!
That with Marissa and Joel, we all went together to go see that. And the funniest thing, we're going into the Art Institute, right? And Maria tells me, "You got a knife on you?" Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
She looked at Joel. Joel didn't just have a knife. He had a knife.
He had 7.
Now here we are,
that
both
boy
of
got
us
like a
going into the Art Institute.
Armpit one.
With weapons. I said, well,
I know you motherfuckers are from South Chicago. You guys are from the hood.
Yeah. They would have thrown us out. They say, get the
They took him back to the car. But it
I
was
went
so
to the
funny.
airport
Joel
with
had
a
a
knife.
boomerang.
Like an idiot. I left
you
it in
got
my book
everything.
bag, and TSA was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "What is what?" And then they're like, they just bust out my blade. I was like,
No, it'll come to me in a minute.
"Oh
Just say
my
slip.
god, I'm so sorry." And then they just took it, and they're like, "Gone." I was like, "All right, I guess I'm not a murderer." You know, I knew I wasn't a murderer, but still.
Isn't it fun?
No. It's gonna come to me in a second.
I would love to know how growing up in South Chicago, as
A kid?
from a kid to, because
Teenager?
I'll paint you guys a picture. So when you guys speak of South Chicago as fun times and everything, my brain it doesn't compute. During my time in South Chicago, it was a whole different era. It was a whole different. You can't go outside past a certain time. Nah, you will get jacked up. There's different gangs. It's a different time. It was, I guess they called it the bloody 90s.
Oh.
So it was a different time. So when Steve's documentary came on, and I look at, there's Gatey's Ice Cream, and there's a movie theater, and there's so much livelihood, and there's people with white gloves in South Chicago waving, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Is that from Jupiter? And that's only like 10 years ago, 15. And growing up in my time, it was not like that. It's a whole different environment. So I would love to know your perspective, not only from the art world, but just as a human growing up in South Chicago.
That's
Just-
Ron's question.
Well,
Both.
well,
Because
I
you're
grew up-
okay.
well, the main thing about that period and then was nobody killed each other.
Which is wild.
You know, you would get beat up. You know, you would this, but nobody was killing each other.
They used
there was no
fists, right,
the
after a
murder
fight.
rate was not there. But the only thing that was different then is everybody worked. The only reason you didn't work is because you were lazy or something was wrong with you, you know. But the majority of everybody else, there was work everywhere. There was nowhere you could turn that wasn't work. They needed work. Workers. So everybody had money. That was one of the biggest issues, that everybody had money. When the 90s came into play,
No more
we
money.
call it the bloody 90s, is because they took the rug right out from under us. I mean, there was no more future for all the youth that grew up. I think they were called Generation X. All these kids that grew from that generation, they took the rug from under them because they didn't have nothing no more. And a lot of these young men were warriors. They had the warrior mentality, the warrior blood. So they took that energy and went in a different direction that none of us expected it to happen. They started killing each other.
Wow.
And a lot of it, I can understand it. It's called revenge. Like, you killed my brother, I'm gonna kill your brother. You killed my cousin, I'm gonna kill your cousin. And it never ended. And to this day, there's still bad blood with family members, and they could even be related to the same family. You could be cousins, and there's bad blood within the family because somebody killed somebody within that family who was this. Now, if they would have continued economically and the mills were still here, we would have never had that problem.
Which is wild.
Because everybody would have been working. There is no reason for anybody to be doing any crazy shit because everybody had money. On the contrary, you wanted to spend your money.
Which is wild.
Have a good time.
Now, and then when the 90s came in there was no money, so they were desperate to make money. And this is where the life kind of went in that direction, you know?
Yeah.
And I always blame it that it was economics. To me, it was the main issue was that there was no more. And what do you want these kids to do?
Yeah.
After that period, it never got any better. Because then these young people started killing each other and they all went to prison. Now what we're seeing now is a lot of these young men that went to prison in those early years, they're out.
It's the after effects. Well,
Yeah.
it's the
And they're
residual.
they're still affected by that period of whatever, let alone the ones that died, you know?
Yeah.
So what I see now as an elder is we are now the victims. Because now the elders are the prey to the young, which we never ever thought that it would ever happen to us as we got to this age. But now most of the people that you hear that they're sticking up, they're taking this from you, we're all older people.
Wow.
We are now the victims of the young. Now, who do we fear? Young kids.
Oh.
You know, these are the ones that are causing the thing is, and there would never should have been a reason why this should be happening right now. But then you start looking at it in a different way. Okay, fine. How can we help these kids?
Yeah.
How? What I really love is what Aaron and Matt are doing. They're in the forefront with these young
They're
people
on the front
now.
lines, absolutely.
And Maria's still in the front line with a lot of these young kids.
Absolutely.
So we're still with the group of people who are still looking for a solution to this. A little bit too much fun.
This podcast is brought to you by marijuana, sponsored by Mary Jane.
I forgot what I was saying.
No, but basically that's what happened. It's I mean, I wish that we did have a more positive answer to the problem what's going on with our young people, but it's hard to understand it. You know, it's really hard to understand it because we know that there ain't no work coming to South Chicago. No. I don't care how realistic people say. There is no. In other words, who's going to work? Not everybody can work at McDonald's. No. Not everybody's going to work at this. So what do you expect from these young people now? They're angry. They're angry. You know, they're going out of their way to me, I call it anarchy. As an old hippie, I call it anarchy. Wow. This is where you get tired and say, man, fuck this shit. I'm not going to take it anymore. And so you take it upon yourself to do what you have to do. And this is basically, to me, in my opinion, in a small way of what's going on now.
You're surviving.
Yeah.
You're surviving life. I like Steve's whole documentary, Stephen Walsh. His whole documentary gave me a different perspective on South Chicago, and he plugged in it's a trickle effect since the steel mills and everyone, and then the whole Vietnam draft, the whole movement during that time, them coming back, and then the next generation and the next generation. It's all a trickle down effect, and it's like a weird butterfly effect. One little thing, the steel mill shutting down, caused a series of events that we're still experiencing now.
Oh yeah, and it's not going to come back. But there's so many young people that I'm seeing now that you got to be very proud of on what they're doing now, because there's a lot of young people right now that are coming up now that are you got to commend them for surviving. And so we have a lot to be grateful for in this community, that even though we're going through all this, there's still a huge handful of young people that are positive and that are doing great things for this community in their own way. Yep. And we in the art world see it before other people, because we know what it is when a young person wants to be a little bit different, to do this. There's a reason for that. That young person is reaching out to become something important. And we have to realize this. And that's the beauty of us here at 93 Studios, who are sharing this experience, because we're still influenced by young people, because we're out there teaching. We're in the field. Every once in a while, I myself will go out there, you know, because I did it for a lot of years. But every once in a while, you know, it's good to go back and, you know, talk to the young and this and that.
Absolutely.
So that's why whatever is going on in the future lies in the hands of people like ourselves here at 93 Studios.
Do you think, in a scientific manner, art can be a therapy?
It is.
Oh, it is. It has to be. Because anytime that you're an artist, well, speaking for my fellow artists here at the table,
everybody's drawing right now. Everyone's creating right now, which is amazing.
When you're in your art space, it's therapeutic.
Yes.
Because you don't think of anything else. Your mind is relaxed. Your mind goes into the color. If you're a sculptor, you're going into the stone. So for that period of time, you're in a zen, a very creative. Everybody really likes being into that that aura when you're creative, because nothing phases you. Your mind is totally relaxed. In other words, if you had problems when you came in and you started working, it's gone because you're concentrating on that stone or that color or that thing. So your mind is actually taking a break from life. So, for example, Joel, when you're working on stone,
Yes.
what is the feeling that you get when you're?
Yes.
I mean, it's a beautiful.
Yes. I love that you two guys are collabing. I think that's like an amazing, like Marvel. We're about to see like Superman
in a way, it's kind of like
Batman work
Destiny
together.
made us. We were supposed to cross paths.
Oh, I love that.
You know, it's almost like it was not. Nothing is an accident.
Yes.
There was a purpose for this. Matter of fact, I think Marissa was introduced us years ago. We were doing a show at 119th Street Art Fest, and we were introduced. And I didn't even know if you. I think you did have some carving pieces at that time.
Yes.
And we had a short conversation, but I remember, yeah, man, you got to keep working. And then all of a sudden, like fate gave us an opportunity. We came back together again, you know. So he is a perfect example who shares what it means to go into the zen of the. Yeah. Well, all of us here that's sitting at this table right now.
I would love to hear from everybody, but absolutely.
What it feels like to be in that zen, because you kind of like you push things to the side and concentrate on everything. Maria goes through that. All of us go through that.
Absolutely.
You know, when it comes to creativity, Joel.
Yeah, I think carving is amazingly beautiful because it could relate to anything. Almost like the music playing. When you get comfortable playing an instrument, you could even close your eyes and just forget about the world. And I think you could reach that place not only through music but through poetry. I think you could reach it through running, through exercise.
Yes, I'm glad you said that.
I think you could reach it in many ways. Stone carving has been amazing because I could connect it also to music with beats. I really like cumbia at the moment. I love it, and a lot of the chisel marks are marks that go to the beat of cumbia.
Ah, sick. Hell yeah.
And I want to interject. You have a few stones that are actually from Oaxaca. They're actually from Mexico, correct?
Thank you, Marita.
Oh yeah. She accidentally snuggled them.
Yeah.
Right? She's like,
Oh yeah.
allegedly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
She. The TSA. I hope they ain't listening. No, I'm sorry. But go. But to me, that's dope because it's you're listening to the same music and the same vibe and the same. You get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
There was a young artist who was into recording music.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, he went to another state and he met Rome and he said, Rome, I got this great idea. I'm going to come and record you while you're creating down in the basement, his first studio.
Yeah.
Rome just got into it. He put music to that stuff. It was so unusual.
I have a CD that he created that's based around sounds in my studio.
Right.
Chisel sounds around going clang, 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 and all kinds of sounds, and then he put them into
It was cool.
electronic. Hugo Terrell.
Hugo Terrell.
Ah, we got it.
Shout out.
Samsonite.
He put together something that
This
was.
isn't the sculptor that you
Oh,
were
shit.
trying to remember.
No. This
Oh,
was.
my bad. That was me. Do you guys want to chime in?
Yeah. So like what
on
you're talking about that.
Therapeutic, can art be a you have a
No,
unique
100%.
perspective, absolutely, man.
It's very therapeutic. It's definitely something you zone out into, like they're articulating right now, and really, it's more so. I was reading this book called "Stealing Fire" a while back.
Ooh,
I never
I like that
completed
book.
it, but I read most
Pressfield?
of it. No, it's by this dude Stephen Kotler, and it's about flow state. And so what they're talking about is like what you can receive when you get a runner's high, or when musicians or jazz musicians call it being in the pocket, or for instance, for us as artists, zoning out into a painting or something like that.
It's beautiful.
It's a flow state. So they talk about how they they can achieve that flow state, but fast, instantly. How do you tap into that? So they go through, they test out athletes, they test out, creatives and stuff like that. And some of his little hacks were always like, go for a quick little run, smoke a joint, drink a coffee, and you could almost, it was like the little hack to get into there, you know?
Going for a run.
To get to that little flow state of mind, But again, you can do it naturally by just, zoning out in your craft that you're passionate about. But yeah, that focus, that zoning out is definitely common in a lot of things that we do and that we're passionate about, regardless of it being art or music. It could be something else.
When I was teaching at After School Matters with high school kids, they literally would tell me sometimes, and they'd come back for almost 4 years or 3 years, and it was a job for them, but they'd come back and they'd say, I'm really glad I came because it relaxes you, that art.
Wow.
And what was I teaching them? The art of hand sewing. Sewing.
Actually, physically.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, you bored with this, or, are you comfortable? And they just all come back and they say that. And that's why I think any art, no matter whether it's sewing, painting, whatever, sculpting, whatever, cooking.
Life in general is art.
What's your thing? And you find that
these
niche.
Different variables in life, and you can consider that your palette, and you use that to paint your reality. So dude, anything can be that, in that sense of you can get lost in that.
And I think
that idea of zoning out into that flow state. But yeah,
before I chime into man, I think we talked about it, my boy Cos, before. Growing up in a certain area, if you don't have many options, having an outlet like that it can be life-saving, because you dive so much time into a craft, whether it's music, drawing, karate, bird watching, art, fitness, or running, or nature, or this. Recording or visuals or whatever, fill in the blank, having an outlet finding a light in a dark space where all around you's dark and kakapupu and no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. Nah, that's not cool. Ooh, I like these guys. These guys are following their own drum, following their own vibe. Everyone's kind of like, if you want to learn, okay. You follow that path, it can be life-saving. It can be a beautiful path that can lead you in many, many different positive directions.
Well, it's definitely rewarding in its own way. The pride of accomplishing, that's a key word, accomplishing something. Mm-hmm. Like what we're doing right now, we're accomplishing something. Right now, just in what we're doing right now is something that could be shared 10 years, 15 years from now.
Space.
And
we can send this in
wow,
space.
Look at the conversation that we're having right now. And we're sharing, and all we're doing is we're trying to encourage to continue the movement and what we're about, which is the purity of art for the sake of art.
It's in your shape.
To just go off of what was just being said, I guess I can also attest to, I guess, the idea of idle hands are the devil's plaything.
What does that mean?
So if you're sitting around doing nothing, there's a lot of people that you're going to end up doing bad with your time out of boredom or out of just nothing to do with yourself. It's like the idea of, your idle hands. So doing something with that energy, even when you don't realize you're doing it, or, a lot of people can go do bad business with that same energy and time, but it's about that, like, focusing your time, your energy, and your days on something constructive. At least it doesn't even necessarily have to be positive, but I would say at least something constructive, something productive, because again, you could say just as much time and energy is spent on certain people doing destructive things, so it's a big part of it. And talking about it like out here where we don't have a lot of access to anything over all the time, and jobs get taken away and all the different stuff, that's what it is. what Robin was talking about with people getting out of prison and lockup now from the way back, and now it's not just their problem. It's not just the government's problem. It's everybody's problem. Same as a couple more decades from now, it's going to be different problems. Even right now, we hear about Social Security and different stuff being a problem because of other generations and all this stuff. It's just how, but that's how the planet goes. So that is a big part of it. Focusing on trying to do something productive, something
Living.
Yeah. I mean, art might not seem like the super most important thing to whatever percentage of the public, but it really is. Even still, even those who don't realize it, if they're watching TV or they're listening to literally anything from music to a podcast to if you're sitting there listening to sports on radio, because I grew up, my dad he was the type of dude that would watch sports on TV, but then listen to the radio commentary on it.
Day.
Yeah, like
Multitask.
But because
So would he shut off the audio of the TV?
They like those announcers better, whatever the situation. So but that's that's already and my dad would definitely not consider himself an artistic person or creative or care about any of that kind of stuff. But then if I were to point that out, it's like, yes, you do. That person is entertaining you with those highlights and that, or their commentary. You have a preference. You like certain type of movies, whatever it is. The most hardened person who only watches westerns or the idea of just somebody as an anti-art or creative, they're still enjoying that so they still appreciate some art in this world in their lifetime and stuff, might not ever understand that. So man, here I've heard it a few times now, but Roman saying how we use our biggest production used to be steel. And not just for the city of Chicago, but for like the rest of the country.
The whole world,
building
almost
most of these damn skylines and just that part. And
which is
that
wild.
ended a long time ago, but now it's the art. Like, I feel that. Because, they keep on talking about how we don't produce anything in America anymore, but like we produce entertainment. We produce all that type of stuff.
Once I found out the fact that South Chicago, our steel mills in the area provided a lot of steel for downtown, that blew my mind. I'm like, wow. Yeah. To me, that adds value to the area.
That's very true about the entertainment and how, dude, what do we produce as a country? Like, everything's outsourced at this point. Everything's getting made from China.
Be a TikTok star, be a YouTube star, be a...
I mean, all my students, like, that's their main, like, one of the top things that they say that they want to do. Not maybe completely in life, but, like, that could be something present or, when I grow up, now I want to be a YouTube or an influencer, as they call it now. Like,
that's interesting.
But an influencer of what? You ask them that, and they have no answer. They just want the attention. They want this. No purpose. And it's just like...
Because that's
it's scary.
That's a title.
It's scary.
And again, we're in our country, that's... Yeah. Mr. Beast came up today in my thing, in my class over there. And it's like, why wouldn't that be a goal? It's like, you create enough content, here's $100 million. I mean, but... And that's good. I at least, I've never watched any of his videos outside of seeing clips of like, he goes out and he does whatever in the real world and gives away money and resources and stuff. So he's the most followed person on YouTube as a whole.
Did they show his face?
Yeah. And so he has more followers than anything, but just through him running the channel he runs and has sponsors or whatever, he makes like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like,
he pretty much
not necessarily talking shit, but just to talk, just to be
he creates content of anything and everything,
making videos that people then go watch, and it can just be. I mean, again, I've never watched the stuff, so I don't know.
At first, I think in a brief
idea, he's like an American show. You win money. At
At
this point, that's what he's about.
I think at first it was more like a channel to grab attention, and now.
the way that the internet works. You know,
Yeah.
if you
He's making money off that.
He's
Yeah.
making
Oh, yeah.
money, but he's
Giving
also
away
giving
money.
back money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a weird thing right now because
But then
he's
it's
using.
also-
He's like Oprah at
But,
times.
but then it's
He's
also,
like
I'm sure
Oprah.
he's giving
Like
out that
Oprah.
money to make a new
You get a
video,
car,
so he's
you
still
get a
making
car.
money
Yeah.
off of making that video of giving away the money
Yeah.
at that point.
Interesting.
So it's, again,
That's weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like the
idea
Oprah of YouTube.
Content creators, again, and influencers, like,
Heard that.
that's what we produce, though, now. As
Mr.
opposed
Roman.
to whatever.
You know, right? Like,
it's like
again, they take
creating
that platform
media.
and those things, the media away from us. Then
So
what?
it's art.
Then
Again, so
then
it
we're
is
left.
art. That is the thing that gets produced more than anything. Hollywood has been here forever, but that's why they made Hollywood, to create content for the rest of the world, make movies.
I want to know how 93 Studios came about. Like the idea, where did that, before the actual building was there, and then break down the actual. All right, I want to sign this lease for 93 Studios.
Well, 93 Studios came about because I had just left Indiana we were there for over 10 years, and it was called The Jungle. And
We're gonna talk about
very,
that.
very successful venture. But we have to realize when you're paying rent, you don't own it. So at any given time, they can say, you know what, dudes, you're out. You know, so bottom line, that's kind of what happened to us in Indiana. Politics was involved. We're involved in when a certain mayor was there. When a mayor changed his hands, everything changed politically, and we were the first people that said, "Hey, you know what? Time for us." You know, so we had to move. Now, what's fortunate for us, we already had Under the Bridge. We had just started putting together Under the Bridge that first year, and we were just starting to get together. You know, so I could have stayed in Indiana because I was looking for another abandoned factory or something where we could continue to work as sculptors. But for some strange reason, fate pushed me in the direction of that space on 100th Street. And Dave Price, who was the person to be at that time, I called him up and I said, "Hey, dude, what's the scope on this building right here?" So fate, whatever, he put me in contact with the owner of the building. We talked, this and that, and we came to an agreement on something real, because it was a useless space. It was empty for almost like 20 years.
Yeah, it sat there for a long time. I remember.
So I shared it with Aaron and Matt and a few other people, and we said, you know what, we have an opportunity to do this. Here's what's going to cost us, and we don't. As an experienced artist for many years, you don't want nothing. I mean, I've had studios that were rough. I'm talking about literally you don't have nothing except that you have a place to go over there and work, and
That's it.
and whatever. So I've had spaces all over the west side, north side. So I was already I'm being the older one. I've had experience with all these different scenarios, you know. So this space, I like it, but it's not the best space for me as a sculptor because the floors are hollow. You know, in other words, the space that I'm in right now, and I can't put any kind of heavy equipment in there because there's no beams or anything like that. But it works. I mean, everybody's comfortable there. I like the fact that Aaron's able to create music there. They're comfortable to do their artwork. Maggie has created, I think, a masterpiece.
Oh my God!
What she's doing there in the
my
space.
God! Yes.
So it's comfortable for everybody who's sharing the space. But one of the most important things that we feel that we cannot let happen is we cannot let that space become political. So we're trying to stay away from anything that has to deal with
Sweden, neutral.
project. So all we're concerned about is only one thing: the arts. Because there's too many issues out there in the world that
I
would
love
complicate us as artists. But we do support that.
Yeah.
I support the fact that, when General Iron was coming into South Chicago, I support the fact that we need more police officers patrolling. But there's nothing we could do as artists.
Yeah.
Nothing. Except continue to work and make a comfortable space for when people come around us to be able to share the experience with us. Yeah. So 9-3 has had the opportunity to be able to do that. And to be comfortable for fellow artists to come in there and feel comfortable. Because you don't know how many people have come to us and say, hey, I want to be part of this studio. But we don't do that no more. If anybody comes to me, I always say, well, talk to Matt.
Yeah.
and Matt usually knows who they are.
He's
whatever,
a good
whatever,
gatekeeper, man.
And you handle it.
He's an
'Cause I
excellent
really don't
gatekeeper.
I'm the kind of person that will say yes to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, sure. Come. So I realized that no, I'm older, so I don't realize what's going on. So I said, well, I'll leave it. Matt, what do you think, man?
Yeah.
So
And
I
he'll give you a
realized
straight
his,
shot all the time.
opinion on who we let into the studio.
And it's
But right now, the studio belongs to the community. Bottom line.
I love that.
But
it's nothing, and it's even nothing more than what is same. You know, I guess it goes back to even what I was just talking about, like what is being produced. If you're a producer in any of the sense of the term, like you know, you're making something, even if that's just making a change of energy in the area or in the whatever it is that you do, you're adding something to it. You know, there are people who can rent out a studio space and who are involved in the circle, who barely are physically in the space or need to use it as a working space. It's that idea of just, it's good to work with them. It's good to, I guess, just as an example, because he's not the only one. There's a few of them, but Traz, you know, Traz definitely is part of our circle. He has his own giant, amazing circles, but he's over here now in this circle because he needed a space for a little while at Under the Bridge to do some things. Then he needed a little space at 9-3 to do some things. Like, there's a lot of people like that, and that's exactly what it is. The space is open to most people. It's for the community, and that's always the talk. We're here most of the time. If I'm not here, Cortez is here, or Rona be here. So feel free to come by and use it and work. But if the first thing is you want a set of keys, that's already something else, you know. We'll give that benefit of the doubt. No, just come by, just come use the space. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to, none of that. Just, we're here and you're welcome if that's what it is. So a lot of people give themselves away immediately of just already, I'm not really looking for that. You know, I need some keys. And it's just like that already gives off that different energy. You want to have somewhere to be or whatever that is. You don't know. Don't pay for it. Come hang and make art and be creative and do your thing for free. You don't even have to talk to us. Say what's up when you come by, and you could go over there and use that space. And you know,
you should have not told me that.
No, I know. That's what it is.
Hey, he's not leaving.
Fact, you know,
Cortez, that's how he got on the podcast in the first place.
Cortez isn't the only one who's made music at 9-3 Studios. I mean, within our first couple months there, we had a couple people come by and record the better part of a whole music project in that space.
I know.
Just so we could keep on checking out the acoustics and everything, and just keep on trying that stuff out and seeing what we could do with it. And we just, again, what I just said, you know, we offer that up to a lot of different people, but then for how many people we offer it up to, there's very, very, very few people that actually want to come through to create and do that stuff.
For a non-artist, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Voyager, he's new to the area. He's learning the whole dynamic of South Chicago, East Side, the whole... Yeah. And one of the main attractions he loves, as well as 93 Studios.
What's amazing about 93 Studios is that now it's a legacy. Now we left a mark that nobody's ever going to forget. Now 93 Studios is part of South Chicago. Now you mentioned 93 Studios, South Chicago.
Beautiful.
You know, and that spot, even if we don't belong there, nobody will forget the experience of 93 Studios. So if we're allowed to be there, but again, because we don't own it, we always got to go with the flow. But while we're there, you have to take advantage of it and just, you know, feel comfortable and work. And through experience of having so many different studios all over Chicago, you know, it's nice to be able to share a spot where everybody's gets a little, they feel this vibe for the space. But because it's not ours, we know that whatever we're doing is, you know, one day it's going to come to an end. So what happens? We move to another spot.
On to the next.
So in other words, the movement will never stop. It's just that we you know, hopefully we'll be at 9-3 for a long time. I also have some dreams that it's a possibility we might even inherit 9-3.
Oh,
but that's another story, you know.
Yes, that's another podcast
The only
for
one,
another
we're not
time.
missing, or the only one we don't have here that we are missing is
Senor Detail.
Detail.
And with him at number one in the venture, since 2019, we've been hosting one of the biggest graffiti shows in the whole of Chicago. And none of us sitting at this table right here are graffiti artists at all. And Detail is our guy, and we all run support for him to throw that meeting of styles. And getting around those top level graffiti artists, they are the ones who vocalize it since 2019, that at this point, like, we are responsible for hosting the best version of a graffiti show in Chicago to all of them. And a lot of them have been doing graffiti since the start of graffiti. It's not just the young guys and the young crews. Like, no, when you see who is actually out there painting and stuff, it's people who have been doing it since like graffiti started. And they've been wanting something like that out there forever, out here forever in South Chicago and Southeast Side. And there just hasn't been that level of mural work out this way. I mean, there's a specific walls that have been that since forever. But what happened to those viaducts right there on 93rd or, and Commercial Ave? And then on the east side, like, the idea that graffiti started whatever year, the late 70s to beginning of the 80s, and it took until 2019 to first get that collection of murals out there is actually pretty crazy. And that's all due to 93 Studios. And again, just to talk about further
Absolutely.
that place,
I want to know.
And it took a man like Detail to be able to have that vision and the 2 solid decades of work within that whole community to be able to make that happen the way he makes it happen. Because
but we also got to remember we have to play politics. See, we can. It's one thing interesting about Chicago. We always got to play the game. It's funny because I remember when.
What is the game?
Just go with the flow. I mean, whatever they tell us to do. I remember it was funny because Alderman Pope, nice guy. This is not to make fun of him or anything like that. But anyways, he invited me to a function where they were getting ready to move in the arts. So they wanted me to invite Detail. Little did I know it was a setup to arrest him. Using me. And then when I found out what was going on, I said, hey, man, stop. This ain't fair. You can't use me.
Don't use me
to do this, dude. Because what actually is he doing wrong? Other than, so what the solution to the problem is, make them legit. Start participating. Now, what is the most hottest art movement in the United States? Street art.
Absolutely.
What is the most original art that's here that contributing to the art history? It's the street art. United States, it belongs to the Americas. So my favorite one is Alderman Pope. After he was not the alderman no more, Detail was working on 100th Street in the viaducts. Alderman Pope is, you finally got your way. Silent victory. I always called him silent victories because he was opposing that. But Sue Garza was a strong supporter of the arts because without her support, a lot of these things would not have happened. We would have got too much. In other words, you couldn't have never got half the things that were done.
Yeah.
But you do have to play the game to get to that level.
Yeah.
Now, what's important right now is the automatic races here in South Chicago. Very important to us. And what's important to us as artists is where they stand to continue the movement. Because it's in their hands. Because they could literally say, no, it's frozen for the next 4 years. They could put a damper on everything. So it's very important for us as artists to realize, ask these people, where do you stand in the arts? Right now, we're very fortunate that most of them are supportive of the arts. But it's very important that we have to have their support, because without their support, you can't get to that level. That's why I always telling Matt and Aaron, if you really want to get into the thing, you got to go to the meetings. You got to go to the meetings and find out what's going on.
It's like Game of Thrones.
And support. Well, yeah, in a strange way, it is, because me, being one of the elder artists, I used to go to the meetings all the time, but I never wanted nothing from them, because I never really asked them for walls. I never asked them, but I was there to support the artists in whatever way that I could as a person. But I never really asked this community, other than when I did the monument at Steelworkers Park.
Yeah. Beautiful monument.
I never really asked them for anything. So, but whenever anybody else would come up, like when Detail started coming up through this, I've supported them 100%. But because I'm who I am, I had a little bit of clout to say, yeah, this dude is, so we were able to get to where it is.
Yeah.
But like Matt said right here, he is a very, very strong. I mean, I like his skills as an organizer.
Oh yeah.
That's rare and in between. He has put together some major shows, and he deserves a lot of credit, more than what we're saying at this point in this podcast that we're doing right now, because he has a natural ability to do these things. Because, like, for instance, somebody asks, "Oh, can you put this together?" How long it would take for us to contact all these people that he already knows that are on his website and his connection? It's impossible.
That's a good segue, because I'm a jump in real quick, because meeting of the styles. I mean, Shapeless knows, you guys know, but I'm sure the public doesn't know. South Chicago doesn't know. You guys had artists, international artists. There were artists from all over the place. These are well-known, well-renowned artists that came to our area, our hood, and pretty much blessed us with some of the most beautiful pieces.
From my knowledge, is definitely a lot of the top Chicago artists. In whatever that description may be, top, I got to meet some of the. I mean, shit. I'm not a graffiti artist. I'll consider them all top artists for life because of how much respect they show up over here and show us, the walls, the environment, the event as a whole. They don't ask for much, and they come out and all those murals that have been painted since 2019 out there, that's all done for the love, for the most part, from the majority of all them, So fuck not asking for much. They come out and invest in our community. Yeah. And again, that's because of, for sure, detail, and because of Roman and Maria, because those are some of the top graffiti artists, and Roman ain't a graffiti artist, but they all damn know Roman before they ever came over there, and you can just see that. Like, a lot of the creatives and people at those certain levels know Roman and are familiar. Roman might be the only thing that certain people in the rest of the city know about this area.
Definitely
don't ever come out this way,
and then
but they know about Roman.
Coming from the outside perspective, like I said, like everybody says here, like nobody knows what's over here until you start mentioning Skyway Casino and stuff like that.
There's only a couple reasons to come out this way.
Coming from the outside perspective, now I'm seeing the east side of South Chicago being named here because of the 9-3 Studios period. It's like 9-3 Studios, like, I don't know if you get the reference, but when in like Grand Theft Auto, you unlock a certain city after you. So now that 9-3 Studios is in their
you
perspective,
unlock South Chicago.
They unlock South Chicago. They unlocked, and it's like a lot of like these people that spray, that know how to spray and all that, and spray paint. And they talk about this place because of 9-3 Studios and the meaning of styles.
And I also want to say, like, there are some of Chicago's most talented graffiti artists from right here. Yeah. Also. And from right over the border in Northwest Indiana, right there, the Kisa guys, been doing this since the start of graffiti. Like, it's not been for a lack of the talent out here. It's been all those other things that have been mentioned, the political reasons and personal tastes of some people that have kept those aspects of the culture out of being implemented out here. So again, it's like catching up on the last 3 decades of missed opportunities from the last recent years.
What's interesting to me is that I remember when the first group of artists from New York came to Chicago to paint on the walls.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So which was Pops, it was Nick, it was some of the old guys, Design. All these young brothers, we were all part of that early shows with them in the early years. Yes. When I crossed into Indiana, I ran into Kisa. These young brothers are amazing to me because these were like Flex, Traz, Ish.
You're gonna have to make that introduction first.
So all these brothers from the Kisa Studios, I remember them when I first met them at the Jungle, where I had a studio in Indiana, was called the Jungle. I was there for 10 years, but in the 10 years, I seen the movement grow from grassroots to these young brothers just tagging on the walls to master artists that they are now.
Wow.
And for me to see this transition is an honor to me to be able to see this. So when other people have talked about it, but when you actually see it happen and develop, you have a better appreciation for the whole ball game because you've seen it. You know, and at any given time, they're always, "Oh, Rome, you could have been part of this." No. I respect you. I respect what you guys are doing, but there's no reason why I have to spray. But I'm very curious, and I'm tempted.
I'd love to see that.
But there is just the fact that I was able to see it was an honor.
Am I pretty sure? I was never there for any of it. I just saw the aftermath. But didn't you guys host some graffiti battles at that spot?
Oh man, we used to have some major things over there.
The jungle, you said, right? Yeah.
It was called the Concrete Jungle.
Yeah.
We
used to host graffiti battles
drum
there, right?
circles that lasted, I think, it was almost 10 years.
That was
every
the art spot to
Monday.
be.
Wow.
And we had gatherings that were unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean,
I want a drum circle with you guys, man.
I just seen
gotta bring that
a
back.
magazine from the Smithsonian. The Field Museum was doing a study on us.
Oh.
On how urban artists deal with each other and interact and do things without nobody telling us. In other words, on that short period of time, the drum circle, the open mic, the creation of the movement of the jungle, and all these things happened for the sake of art. There was no money involved. There was nothing. Everybody did that for no reason. I remember these brothers. I was like, man, that time the cans were a lot cheaper, but now the average dude that comes out and tagging the wall, they're spending a couple $100 in just paint alone, with no money coming back to you. And it amazes me because the technique that they're doing and as a artist, as a fellow artist, I'm amazed at the grid thing that they're doing now with letters and things. I kept saying, what is that? What are they doing? I didn't realize to what level artistically these guys have gone to. Now, I remember Static from RK. We worked together when he was still going to the Art Institute. Wow. And he would come visit me at the jungle when I first came to the jungle. He would take the train from downtown, join me at the jungle, then catch the train and go back to class in Chicago.
That's a journey.
It was amazing.
That's a Voyager.
I mean, we shared a good experience. And when we worked together on the program with, we worked for the Chicago Public Arts, and we were doing a work with the Ford Duke family, which was basically the Blackstone Rangers, Jeff Ford's family. And we worked together. I think what an experience we had. It was an unforgettable experience. But see, all these things we've shared, and as an elder artist, you've seen these things happen. Yeah. The movement in Pilsen, the Humboldt Park. So you've seen everything develop, and so you have a more insight on what happened. That's why when I share what's going on here at 9-3, I really love it, because I'm just sharing all the experience that I just gathered from everywhere else and putting it. We're here. But we all know one thing: it don't belong to us.
Not yet.
But while we're all together, let's just do it, because we never know what's going to happen to mañana, the next day, because la vida's strange. Yeah. But we do know one thing: the spirit is not going to die.
Yeah. And it's not about owning it. It's about just developing it and all that. And the only gatekeeping really is to keep anybody else from trying to abuse that shit. And again, nobody owns it. It's for the community. All the stuff that we're doing. So there's no one person that should be stepping in and now thinking they need to capitalize off of any of this everybody's investment, you know? If there's funds to fund it, that would be great. Everybody could benefit from that. But until then, it's everybody just contributing to it. It's producing it. It's not about how can you take advantage of.
We're in the position right now to be able to accept a $1 million grant.
Yes.
I don't want it.
Yes, you do.
It's about, but again, it's
the problem is when you get involved in anything like this, is that's when you get in trouble.
That's the wisdom speaking.
You have to have, whenever you step into that category, you have to have people that are there for the long run and know what they're doing to make mistakes. Because the minute, because they're always expecting you to make a mistake, and then they'll use it against you and the community.
And then you'll have
There's no way that nobody will ever
got art money.
say, "Hey, we're gonna give you this." No, you're not. I didn't ask you for nothing, you know. But under the right circumstances, with the right people involved, it's a winner.
Yeah.
But me knowing myself as a human being, I'm not that person. But I will help whoever steps up to the plate to be able to accept that kind of responsibility. I will support you.
Yeah.
But I won't do it. Plus, I'm getting older.
Yeah.
So, but I will respect whoever feels that they got the energy to step in there and take the reins in the positive way, the way we're thinking about it. I'll support them.
Yeah.
But I know that it's very, very easy to make a mistake unless you know how. Because I've seen it too many times, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why when people, like for instance, not too long ago, when I was showing at the show at the Intuit Gallery, somebody offered me a spot downtown. Don't do me no favors. Now I got to pay more rent. Then I have more problems, you know, keeping up with whatever. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, all I need is a space to. Well, I actually, believe it or not, I was telling Joel, all I need is a tree. Some shade, put a thing over there. And I can go to. I don't need a building.
Tree for shade, a tree that you smoke, a tree.
Yeah, you know, because we're sculpted. We don't need no luxury. You know, I mean, so in a certain sense, but I will help anybody who feels that they're capable to going to that other level. I will support them if it's done correctly.
Yes.
Because I believe 9-3 could be something very, very. But again, I mean, I don't know how the guys feel about this, but somebody has to step up to the reins to get to that level. And I will support any of these brothers here sitting at the table to help them to reach that. But I myself personally, as a human being, I can't do it.
Yeah. You know,
but I will support it.
We're in a time of, you know, people want. I know there's a phrase for it, but you know, they want an immediate get back for their investment. You know, I know there's a phrase for it. I'm blanking on it right now, but out here, it's the difference between joining a culture or something being built and it's already in progress and it just starting from the beginning. Like I just said, you know, in a little while ago, graffiti started in, let's say, even the beginning of the 80s, and it took until 2019 for us to now have that out here in the way that it is. So we're just starting out still out here, you know. So it's not overnight. We're not going to change everything overnight. You know, it's 2023 now, right? Am I right? Unless I'm time traveling 2023. Looking back 10 years now, it's a good decade. I'm pretty sure that was when I joined at Under the Bridge with Roman in 2013. Around that time, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was 2013. So 10 years. In 2013, all there was Under the Bridge out here. Cut to now, 10 years later, there's Under the Bridge, there's 9-3 Studios, there is, well, I would even say Sky Art was already there too. That actually predates it. Sky Art is actually the original stuff. Yeah, we got Steve Walsh and the Agora out here now. We have Low Key Gallery on Ewing.
Popcorn.
We have John. It has a art studio right next to. Under the Bridge, the Brickheads with popcorn, the Brickheads with popcorn at Low Key Gallery on Ewing.
We're coming for you, popcorn.
So there is already just see that difference from one place doing that until now in 10 years.
Well, I would have to say you question time on that, and I would have to say from a person like not like my honey, a true South Chicagoan, but being here. I just think it has a lot to do with the people that were here through all those years. I mean, 10 years ago. I mean,
well, again, consistency.
Blood,
It's a consistency, yeah.
Hey, yo, ashtray.
Because I think about it, you know, there are several music makers sitting right here at this table. Because Joel definitely is a music maker. Cortez definitely a music maker. Tony Jedi is definitely a DJ, and he's a music maker. and I talk about that too. You know,
And
like,
you're a music maker.
I make music. For all of the different musicians and
What you're
music
about to
makers
say.
I've known in this area for all my life, this whole time, you would think there would be a place for that, a venue, something, an avenue for
what
that.
I meant to finish saying is that the reason that could possibly be of this particular area, sir, is because it's gone through so much devastation of economics
that's what I'm
and
saying, yeah,
jobs,
yeah, all
everything.
of it.
I mean,
It's like,
because,
so we're just
so I mean,
starting-
for you
it
to
feels like we're
question
just
that, I
starting
mean,
out. No.
people laugh.
It's really that's what I'm saying. Like, no, it's that we are still just starting out in building this.
Rebuilding.
But it's
this.
good because
No, absolutely. That's
you
what I'm
will
saying.
inspire someone from this neighborhood
again, just in the last
as you
10
get
years
older,
of
and
how
you'll
much
turn
more there
around
is.
and
Yeah.
realize that person hopefully
Yeah.
is true blue to
So
to-
just to
it
think
just
out
keeps
again,
going and going.
to think about from 2013 until now 2023, and if we start in 2019 when we first had the meeting of styles until 2029 now, like then now we're gonna see that much more growth out here for sure. But it does feel that way. Even though we've all been present and doing things around here, it still just feels very, very young and brand new that we are still just getting
Yeah,
to
like
it.
that other
just
one in
getting
there,
started.
too. I just saw
Steelworkers
that.
Park.
Yes.
You know, like to see how much growth we can see in the next few years, even just there, everywhere around here. But it just feels that way. It's still very, very like we're playing catch up. It feels like because of what you just said, all that devastation, all of the setbacks, all the things that kind of made people want to leave and go to other parts of the city and
Well, they
again
did
join something
leave.
that's already
They
exists and being there, as opposed to needing to put in all the other work to start something brand new, you know?
Roman, I want to know your perspective since you've seen. It's pretty much been like, from my perspective, on your perspective, a roller coaster. You know, so what is it like from your perspective to see all these artists, international artists, descend upon South Chicago and put up these beautiful murals, coming from where you come from, pretty much grinding from the start to seeing, you have all these amazing artists, not only Shape, not only Cortez, not only Detail, not only Senor Cosmo, but you have people of the same vibe from all over, all right, vibing together. How's that from your perspective?
Well, my opinion is really a little bit more open in the certain sense that I welcome that. I really welcome the fact that any artist that comes into our community and participates in anything that we're doing here is a plus for the community and the future. So I welcome to have fellow artists come in. We have to eliminate the political things that goes involved when we're dealing with these kind of things. But if we look at it in the bigger picture as fellow artists who are just artists, just for the sake of the arts, the positive thing is that it encourages the young and more people to be involved in what's going on over here. Because we have like an open canvas that is so beautiful right now that it's, we're welcome. Well, I mean, to me, I welcome everybody. But yet, there is going to be some bickering involved, which is natural in life, what's going on.
Humans being humans.
But in the big picture, I welcome everybody to come to South Chicago.
Yes.
They're welcome and share with us.
Yeah.
But it has to open the door for the people from this community, which is very, very important. So, yes, we're willing to open, but at the same time that you open, you have to share. You bring in somebody, push somebody forward. Bring somebody there, push somebody forward. That way, it's a more of an equal balance. Because I personally myself, the ore walls and the steel mills, I was telling the guys here in the table to see something internationally done, where we could bring in people from all over the world to participate in those walls.
Absolutely.
To a whole new level. Because
I just keep seeing it as more and more painted, So, but I love
disc
it.
golf course.
That's nothing but great ideas right there.
Yes.
Tony's original question was asking about just how you see international artists coming in for meeting styles and stuff. In that same vein, could maybe give a couple minutes? Can I ask you about Gamaliel's wall in South Chicago right there? Because that predates all the stuff we're talking about, and he came from Puerto Rico to come paint there, right?
Wow.
Can you tell any history of that?
Well, no. When Gamaliel did that, he was living on Commercial Avenue.
Oh, so
but
he was
but
already
he
right
came
there, okay.
from Humboldt Park.
Oh, wow.
And Gamaliel had already been working for about good 15 years or more in the mural movement on the north side of Chicago. Mm-hmm. So we became real good friends, and he needed a place to stay, so I encouraged him to start coming in this direction. So when he came in this direction, we worked on because I worked with him on the murals that he did. And it was a plus because he was somebody important. And to this day, see, that's what's interesting right now. What's going on right now is, he's gone. He passed away. And the issue that a lot of us elder artists are facing is what happens when you die. And it's a perfect example with Gamaliel because his artwork now goes into limbo.
Wow.
In other words, there's no outlet for us as outside artists. Here, like right now, for instance, Matt just had a show recently at Steve Walsh. I think he must have had about like 50 paintings there. Now we have to realize there is no market yet for us in South Chicago. There's no place for us to have long-term shows because we don't have the facilities or the capability of doing that because you got to pay rent, you got to do this. So we don't have that. But we can have it because the more all of us become more and more known in the art world, the more interest they're going to take in what we're doing, and eventually we will have these things.
Yeah. And
like what's going on here with this podcast now, whoever hears it, the importance of supporting the arts in your community is so important because I realize this, and I've been around for a long time. A lot of times, the community or a lot of people who hear this podcast don't support the arts. They'll listen to us. They'll say, "Oh, I like your work, this and that."
You guys are doing
great. But you have to come and participate and be involved in what we're doing. To really know what we're doing, what we're about, you have to start coming to our shows, doing this and that. We don't necessarily push people to buy because we're not car salesmen. But supporting us in a lot of ways means coming to our shows, bring your children, bring your parents, and let them know South Chicago is leaving a legacy through the arts. That, I believe, is the most important thing that we could do by whoever listens to this podcast. If anything comes out of this message, is share the thing that we as artists want to share our experience in the art world with you. But you have to come and support us by coming to our shows and support us as artists. Don't buy our works. We're not telling you. We're like I said, we're not car salesmen. Just come.
We want people to still buy.
Have your children and everybody come see what we're doing. That's all. It's not even hard. But we haven't broke that yet. We do get good turns out in our events, but we haven't reached the point where the community really knows who we really are. And I believe something like this podcast, whoever hears it would come to an understanding of saying, look, it's very simple to support an artist. Come to their shows.
Right.
Bring your family. Let your children know that this is artist here, this artist here. That is the most important thing that we can get from something in the message that we're trying to give tonight. And I believe that what you brothers are doing with the podcast, I commend it. I think you guys are doing a great job, and I hope that there's a big future in the thing because you are the archives for us. You are leaving our legacy now in this, which I believe is an honor to us,
Yeah.
So if we get anything out of this message here is support the arts by participating in our events and come join us.
I'm about to feel real special right now. All right. No, wait. Oh, you got something? I got something. Okay. I always kind of ask if I gave you I'm going to put it in I'm going to put it in your context. I want you to Bob Ross these people. I'm going to give you a paintbrush. If you had a way to shape, I like that, shape South Chicago in a more positive direction, or maybe what do you believe we need to get pushed in a more positive, unified, a Hyde Park-esque, downtown-esque, commercial, multiple businesses, all supporting one another? I believe, like you believe, it's possible. If you had a paintbrush, what do you need? What do you think we need to accomplish that?
Oh, it's simple. The rainbow.
The rainbow?
All of it. All the
What
colors.
is the
Because
rainbow?
and the rainbow incorporates, because we were part of the rainbow when Harold Washington was elected mayor for the first time. We came together in the communities and we were part of the rainbow. The rainbow to us represents everybody. So if we're going to share any color or anything like this, it's the rainbow.
It's all of it.
The end of the tunnel, the rainbow, the goal, at the end of the tunnel, the rainbow.
It
That's
takes a
what I would
village.
share, the rainbow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
A perspective that I wanted to
It all
ask about
goes
is
into-
how is it balancing the art and the relationship? Like, how's that battle? Because I think that's a hard battle when it comes to relationships. Is the art, like an artist getting in depth with their art, and maybe sometimes losing their balance in other things, and how do the other people that are on the other side to deal with those situations or those battles?
Well, realistically, as human beings, there will always be dips in life, you know, but it depends on how you deal with whatever adversities is given to you and how you deal with them. As artists, we deal with it through our work and we fall back on that.
Yeah.
But sometimes life doesn't allow us. So it's very, very important how these diversities as a couple, how we deal with them. Because life is life, ni modo, you know.
Yeah.
We're going to fall into everything that you could possibly think of as human beings. And it's how we survive these things. Like me and Maria, we've been together 52 years.
Yeah.
We raised our children as young. Because we got to understand one thing right now is that it amazes me that a lot of my young brothers, they don't have children yet. Yet when we were growing up, by the time we were 21 years old, we already had 2-3 children.
Yeah.
You know, and it's different for us because we were geared toward family. Family was the most important issue for all of us.
Right.
Life is different. Life is different. And as a human being, we make mistakes, you know, and that's life, you know. But it's also part of what makes us human beings, you know, the adversities and how we deal with it. Because we have gone through some major changes in our lives, you know.
Right.
We're human beings and we've gone through everything you could think of as a human being. We've been through it. And it includes everything from life, death, adversities. You know, we've done it. We've done it. All we could do is now, as I see my great-grandchildren grow up and I see the mistakes that they're making, but you can't say nothing. Because people they will never, in other words, you see it, but you're not allowed to share that because nobody's going to, you know how simple life would be if I would listen to my father's advice and my parents' advice as we were growing up. We don't listen.
I'd be a dentist.
Yeah, we don't listen to these things. But I realize that as we get older, we just watch. And we say, oh, wow, I wish this wasn't happening. I wish this wasn't going on. But there's nothing we could do except hope for the best and keep our fingers crossed. Mijo, I hope things for the best for you. Marie, you want to share?
Yes. Ooh, I'd love to know.
I think not only in art life, but I think in any couple life that has the relationship as long as Rome and I have had, it is just normal life as you keep
My chicken's ready.
My chicken's ready.
Damn, word.
Sorry. We're on a timer and I need my protein.
Sorry about that.
No, you're okay.
But I think trying to pinpoint it as artist, I think you're asking as long life partners in this art world,
Yeah.
how different is it from any other couple that has been that long together?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's not too much difference, but it is different because an artist, you both wise, you meet a lot of interesting people, and they talk a lot of interesting stuff or what they like about whatever. But I think it's how you choose as a couple, or a husband to a wife, or a woman to man. How, okay, they all work out to what they choose to discuss among themselves, and how they choose, like, we can go forward on this or we could go backwards. So we chose to go forward. Damn, dude, I didn't know I was going to be this age.
It is interesting. It is interesting, definitely.
You know, but I am very grateful and humble, and for my life, for all that we've accomplished, and I'm very proud of my honey.
Hell yeah.
And I love it, and I love the fact that I'm finding my other new path at this point in my world.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
That's amazing.
Cheers.
You know, it's the way I feel.
I want to know, this is a personal question. How do both of you guys, okay, when the cards are down, how do you guys deal with negativity? Is there something else besides art as an outlet?
Pot.
Yes! I'm glad you said that, sir.
I'm for prayer.
Hit that button. Yes. Well, people, we have entered that time in the podcast.
You are too cute. Too funny. You two are too cute.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
And I'm
you.
glad you liked dinner.
Thank you for doing
I'm glad you enjoyed
Right,
it.
I hope you
food was
guys
delicious.
keep up the good work, and
The food was excellent. Oh my
And thank you
God.
for coming by.
I'll be dreaming of that shit.
I still got 27 questions. Please tell how much time we got left?
We
You give me
don't-
time.
We don't work.
minutes,
5?
minutes.
We're good with
No,
5.
we're on your time.
No, are you sure?
Well, I heard about these kind of podcasts that
Brought to you by marijuana.
That was an old school word.
I got you.
Time out on that.
All right. You got to fill me in on
The
that.
broad, exactly.
You give me a time frame.
25 questions. Who could they possibly be?
we're enjoying ourselves.
Yes, thank
Don't
you.
get me wrong.
And
This
that's
was
all that
really great
matters.
sitting around. We had a good
That's all that
meal.
matters.
And it's good to have,
Yeah.
And it's
anytime you
Friday.
sit down with
Yes.
friends and share a good meal and a good
Good talk.
plática, which in Spanish
Nuclear
is a
weekend.
plática.
I'm learning.
It's just
Nuclear
fun.
weekend.
And yet,
Chinese New Year.
and then we're
Yes.
sharing the plática with you guys, whoever listens to this podcast, we're sharing this with you. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Salud.
Sorry we can't be
Salud.
here to have a
Thank you.
salud, but
Thank you for
Thank you.
having
Thank
us
you.
here.
Thank
The
you.
food was
Salud.
amazing. We really had an ultimate experience here. You guys
could
spoiled
relive
us.
it.
I want to
beyond
relive
belief.
that.
Are we still on? Are we
Where's
on still?
We're still on. I still have my
Where's
question.
the,
I still want to answer.
where's the rewind button?
I have a question, but I'm gonna ask
I
off
can
air.
All right.
Is it chilly in my house? Anybody
No,
need a
it's
shawl?
nice and warm. I mean,
a sweatshirt?
no,
I
no,
got
no.
those things.
Did you
No, I
pop
got a
the
big-
other wine? Okay, there
Yeah,
it is.
that's our second one. It's so
Yes,
cool. It's
it's
very
nice,
nice,
right?
It's
deliciously
good. We,
sweet,
yes.
fruity, and mellow.
oh shit! There's
Did you
another
I'll take the
one.
other mellow.
You want this one?
He'll
Oh,
take the
yeah.
other
Oh,
mellow.
he wants, yeah.
He's grown.
What I-
guy.
So,
Have a
I
complete-
do have an honest question on your perspective on this, because I'm pretty sure me growing up, you growing up, this was viewed differently. Now, in little context, oh Jesus, now this is more on a, it can be on a scientific level that they're studying it. There's medicinal benefits, but people in our culture have kind of been saying that, like, yo, this has a lot of benefits. It puts me in the zone. It helps me create. It helps me this. It helps me relax. And I'm pretty sure people that do this instead of heavily drinking, there's two different personalities. I'd love to know your perspective on this, because this, growing up and as an artist, what has this been to you?
To me, this is not to use the word God, but it was a gift. It was given to us as a gift.
Angelic.
Now, when you accept this gift and use it correctly, it will benefit you through everything in life.
Talk to me.
You know, if you feel a little bit down, smoke a joint, you'll think, okay, why am I down? Let's really think about this. You will never ever see anybody kill each other after you smoke the joint. Any argument that you have with your spouse or anything, if you smoke a joint, somebody's gonna forget what we were talking about, or somebody's gonna say, "Hey,
I forgot what I was saying."
What's up? What's up?"
Yeah.
No, I think that under the right circumstances, I believe that marijuana is one of the best gifts that was ever given to us. I think marijuana was in the Garden of Eden, and it's always been there for us.
Wow.
It's how we appreciate it and how we use it that
That's
makes
it.
the difference.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
question is, are we still in the Garden of Eden?
In the Garden of Eden, baby, don't you know that I love you?
You can't hear this, but I'm dancing.
Can you hear me dancing?
16 minutes later.
Now, Maria's answer
And
might be a
that
little
also-
different about marijuana. What would you be your?
I would love to know. Jesus. I
Stop
caught it.
using
I
that.
caught it.
Stop using his name like
Okay, that is
that's
true.
not cool.
Jesus. No, Jose. I'll say
kidding.
Jose. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I respect what you ever.
I would love to know your perspective.
My perspective on weed.
From what
let's
it
see.
is now to kind of when you first got
Well,
introduced.
it kind of blows my mind now, and I feel that okay, I know I'm at a certain point in my world, but it kind of blows my mind like when I'm out on the calle, and out there doing my errands and business and stuff, and when I come across somebody and I can feel some powerful shit, man. And I just like,
You
what
feel
the
the
heck
force.
was that? Who is walking around like that? That makes me feel old. Okay, but my thing is, when I was younger, I was like, was never a heavy smoker for one, and for another, it wasn't legal. So so you always were cautious.
Yeah.
So then, now that it's legal, it just like took the fun out of it.
Yeah.
So, I smoke in the evening after a long day. Not a lot, not every day, but, I respect people's space. But it kind of throws me off now that it's legal and you can go anywhere and you catch somebody that walks by you or a car, and it takes you in a different perspective as an older person. Like, whoa, that was pretty kind of dangerous, But to each his own preference.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't knock it. So, it is a pleasurable herb. So, that's my opinion.
Beautiful. Thank you. I have like 2 more questions. You go, I go.
You.
We go.
When I walked in here, I was amazed.
Thank you. Thank you
Beautiful
very much.
house. Thank you for letting us in the first place. I kind of want to guesstimate how many art pieces are on the wall, but I'm going to let you guys give me a rough. What do you think?
All in general or just one side wall? Like this wall has about 30 something.
What wall?
Well,
A little from column A
a
and a
rough
little
guess
from
on
column
my
B.
part. We have over 900 works or more,
Not up here?
Holy shit.
or more, or more.
Up here?
Well, I remember one time my grandchildren were playing around and they counted over 200 pieces of work up here.
Yeah.
Up
Just
here.
in the bathroom.
And what I have in my whole collection, which is downstairs at 93 Studios and under the bridge, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So, encouraging wise, I would.
Oh shit! I tweaked. God damn! I thought I was fucking seeing a ghost right now.
Wow, you're freaking me out.
Ah, it's your son. Jesus Christ!
I thought it was the pot first.
Oh my God!
Podcast brought to you by
What
marijuana.
happened?
Where is he?
Cortez.
But anyway,
What son?
He just gave me
Oh,
Cosmo.
hello.
How's it going, man?
That was dope. I like seeing you tweaking
Happy
real
New
time.
Year's.
That was dope.
I'm good, bro. I was like, what?
Wow.
Like, nah, dude, it's the
I did see
line.
him walk in and he put him in and walk back in. That
Well,
was dope.
He's like, what
For
the
the,
fuck did Jedi put in
I
this
know.
shit?
I was like, man,
For
this
the
is like,
special
say,
blend,
that
boy.
wasn't a ghost. It was our friend's son. He just surprised us. Okay.
holy shit.
Okay. Now, what was the question again?
I forgot what I was saying.
That
I
means
literally
the
did.
podcast is almost over.
Yes. Oh no. We were talking about the number of pieces of work. Yeah, we're almost. I'm almost at my
Yeah,
my
he answered
almost.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's
Upstairs, he wants to know.
an official count.
You said like 9. No, we were at
And
2,000.
the only reason
on
that
the
we had an
first
official
floor.
count at one time because we had a fire here, and friends of ours got together, and as my work was being moved out of here, they were marking them and documenting them. It was over 900.
Wow.
But I work every day, so just in last week alone, I created like 5. So I'm in other words, in my mind, creativity is constant. So I'm experimenting with blues, greens. Somebody just gave me some oil colors. I enjoy working with oils because the drying process gives you a long time to blend and deal with the colors. I love them, but I don't do it too often because it's just a little bit. I'm already used to the faster process of acrylics, but oils you can understand why the masters really got into the oils because of the drying process and the blending process.
Wow.
It's extensive, and you could do a lot. And I really, and as a artist who is untrained, you learn to experiment with all the medias. I love pastels. Pastels are one of the most beautiful medias for me because of the blending process. You're allowed to really get into it. But like I said, it's I enjoy them all. I mean, I do watercolors. Whoever thinks that watercolors is the most simplest process, it's not. Watercolors to me is one of the most hardest things because you have to learn to control your hand. Being a sculptor, it's funny because when I first start working from the summer, my hand is heavy because I'm a stone carver. Now, if I go back to watercolor, it takes me about a month for my hand to become light again, to be able to have that finesse or be able to deal with the colors in a certain way, because your hand is automatically heavy. That's why I've gone to the way I'm dealing with paint now is with my fingers. I manipulate the paint now I put it on the canvas. I'm going to manipulate the colors, put a plastic glove on, and manipulate the paint with my fingers, and I start. And I've learned to control it. For some reason, I've got a really good feel for controlling the paint now with my finger. So I took it to a whole new other level, which is, again, outside artists experimenting.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's fascinated with how the color fusion that I'm doing right now, and it's really easy to explain. It's just the way I'm dealing with the colors and how I'm moving them.
Not only do you have a lot of your beautiful artwork up, but you are also avid collector. What's the correct terminology?
Well, I'm a collector, but it's bartering with my fellow artists. We are the ones that I have some of the most extensive collection of my fellow artists that have passed.
Beautiful pieces.
And things that we got that were given to us personally. It's amazing the things that we've collected over the years. But you don't realize these things until you get older. Like the other day, Maria was going through some artifacts, and we were looking through some things. Wow. And we found all kinds of personal things that people gave us as gifts to us for being fellow artists.
Wow.
Characters of each other. It's just fun to have these things. Like even ourselves, we give each other things. Like Matt's giving me something, we give them here, and all these things is we amongst each other we have an extensive collection, and it's also a way of keeping the momentum going in a certain sense. Because I remember I did a lot of work with friends of mine who have gone, and only we remember them. So in our paintings, in our work, we don't let them get forgotten.
If I could say one thing to that real fast, Maria throws a yearly Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos art installation at Under the Bridge, and I'm sure before I ever experienced it, she was probably throwing them since always. But a couple years ago, I think during COVID, couldn't really have a big showing, and it wasn't about booking all the artists. But I remember, I believe you guys threw an installation with mostly deceased artist artwork, hanging up under the bridge. And I think you guys counted it at one point, and it was like 23 or 24 pieces of artwork from that many deceased artists that they had seen, seen them work, live, and pass.
That's the
and
curse.
I can't fucking even fathom it.
That's the curse of
and
living long.
I think about it a lot.
Because only you remember.
Wow.
See, I remember a friend of mine, he was a famous African-American painter. He did the one over by the Avalon. But one of the saddest thing he ever told me was, all my friends are gone.
Wow, that's so sad.
See, right now, my life, I'm very fortunate. I have young friends.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't have to share the same experience by saying all my friends are gone, because these are my friends. You know.
Yes.
And I feel I'm a blessed person to have young friends that I could share life with, and the arts. So I think that right now we are a very blessed couple to be able to sit here among our friends and at this table and share our experiences, because we're going forward. We're not going backwards.
Beautiful.
But we never know what life gives us.
One last question. To speak to the legend of Roman. Oh. I'm not sure of how many museums or different works of art or people you've been involved in with your career. Maybe you and Marie can both speak of pretty much a brief rundown of your dossier, because downstairs, I'll give you a brief example. The Mermaid. Roman, he created that, and it was in the news that this people didn't know all this mermaids here out of nowhere. No one knows how it is, and then they finally found. Yes, it's an awesome story.
Right, that was.
He did that. He worked with Cosmo on a few things give me where by South Shore around somewhere in the area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At the point.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was cool.
You got to go back and finish that piece.
There you go. To speak, you've worked with so many artists. You've done. Can you speak? Give me a brief, as best as possible, a summary of your dossier, as best as I can put it.
Well, right now, in the world of the way we document things, I'm ahead. Because in the old days, nobody would even have no idea what I'm doing, because we shared information differently. Now, information is a lot more easier to deal with, sharing ideas and your work. So it's really out there.
Through technology.
So we're, at my age, I'm very, very fortunate to be able to see the technology and how we're able to share things a lot more easier than what we used to be in the past. And I think that's a big plus, big plus. And again, what you guys are doing is a big plus. To be able to even talk about what we're talking about is a big plus. Because in the old days, nobody wanted to hear us. I mean, here we are. Who's ever going to be able to hear this and and say, oh, what are they sitting there? What
They still around.
But whoever sat here and listened to this is important to us, because this is history. The podcasts that are being done in this community are history, and it's a legacy that we're going to be leaving to our children for the next 50 years. They are the ones that are going to one day sit down and say, hey, what? Listen to this, brother.
Beautiful. I like that. But wait. I want to Shapeless and Cortez. Maybe you can help me out. Speak to this man's dossier. He's been into it. Give me a brief. I know you guys can help me out. I love that answer.
But hearing you ask him that question, I want
a little more.
That's its own big ass.
Give me a 30
series.
seconds. Give me
really like something that I would want to ask that would go towards that. The question I've had in mind that I would like to ask is, maybe I don't know. I'm very curious about this. Since you started, what's the longest break you've taken from being creative, creating anything?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in jail.
Damn.
That's a long story.
That's a whole.
That's another podcast. That's another podcast.
Yes.
That's another podcast.
Yes.
So really, but that was it takes
That's a
that.
longest.
So
Yeah,
but
it's
it
a
takes
long-
that then. Yeah, it takes. It,
No, because
it
I
would
never
take something
stopped.
like that.
My creativity was
Just
always,
on your own. Just on your own. What would it be? A week, a month, like, or is it never? You've never
When you were-
have.
really. No, I've always art has always been part of my savior in a certain sense. I'll give you an example.
Works every day.
The jacket. Let me bring that out.
Oh.
They seen
Let me
that.
see this
But you're not gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe this because what's on that jacket was painted before a lot of these things happened to me. It's like I'm not saying I'm a premonition. I did a premonition or something.
You're a
It's just
time
that
traveler.
for some reason it happened, and I didn't realize it until after you'll see what I'm talking about when I show you this code. But it was something that I did on a whim, and I just painted it, and next thing I said, wait, whoa. But life.
Are you a time traveler? He didn't answer my question yet.
I hope not.
Can you describe what we're seeing right now as best as possible?
This is a collage that I did years ago, and it was
This is wild.
now this is the weirdest part right here. Now see this part right here? It's been put away for a while. Now you see there's a cityscape, here's a skull, here's the thing. Now see this
bone?
This bone right here? That's where I got shot. Oh. Before I got shot.
Oh! You are a time traveler.
And see, this is it was done on a full moon. It was done in a full moon in '81. Cause I was 30. I think I was 30 years old when this happened to me. But this was painted a year or more before this happened.
Wow.
And I didn't realize all this, and it happened because pot.
I forgot what I was saying.
And then it had the changes that we were going through in life. Like, look at this, like this. Look at, like, when you look at the eyes, what was going on. And then
We gotta take,
when I had
we
to
gotta
say
take
goodbye,
a few pictures of that.
look at this, all this right here. Look at.
Wow. That's wild.
It's the only time that I ever painted anything of this caliber.
Yeah.
But I never realized what had happened until years and years later when I started looking at it and we started looking at everything correctly.
That's cigarette. It reminds me almost like a Japanese style. The whole, like the.
I'm gonna put it back. The thing is, but right now we're trying to get the smell out of it. Mel,
Uh-oh.
want to come and see it?
Come smell it.
Come smell this jacket from the 70s.
See if it smells
It's never been washed. It's probably if
Compadre's
you lick
Art
it.
Studio.
If you lick it, you'll probably have an
Compadre's
acid
Art
trip for
Studio.
4
Hey,
hours.
Roman, have you
That
ever used an
actually was a
alias
studio.
while making art?
That actually
No,
was
never.
the first studio.
What studio
It
was
was in
that?
the basement. Los Compadres Art Studio. It was
Oh, wow.
Benny and Roman
Wow.
down in the basement. How you been?
Pretty good.
Look great. Happy New Year's.
Do you want to lick that
But this
jacket?
was one of the weird of all my artwork creation.
Yes.
This is
That's a psychedelic jacket right there. It's a
and
purple
this
unicorn.
is the Pegasus.
Oh, it's a Pegasus.
You like
See the
That's
sky.
beautiful.
There's the
Yeah, we just saw him.
this was a beautiful beige leather.
Yeah.
Straight up leather.
in the 70s, right?
From
yeah
70s.
70s.
Wow.
But it was put away for a long,
That
long
should be in a
time.
When the
museum
fire
somewhere,
happened, we
so.
had it in the attic. Then the fire happened, so we had to box everything. And we were. It was.
But I'm getting ready to put it
was
back
almost
to
a
life
year
again.
We had
Yeah.
our stuff.
But right now I'm airing it
ready
out,
for it, yeah, it's-
and I'm gonna retouch it up again.
Wear it.
You know?
It's cool.
But it's spooky.
Yeah. Then I really freaked him out when I brought a jean jacket up from when he was like this, about like your size or something. It's what? Isn't that cool?
I wore that.
That's awesome.
That's a beautiful jacket.
That is sick. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful jacket.
And then I had shoes that went with it.
Oh,
Well,
do you
I
still
think,
have the shoes?
Yes.
We're about to have the whole fit right now. We'll be back.
He's gonna come back.
We're gonna have a whole fashion runway.
What's like the typical like '90s track soundtrack that would fucking come on when like they would do the montage makeover shits in the movies? And they do like, you know what I'm talking about? There would always be like a specific.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Oh damn.
Look at that.
Hey, we gotta get you some pointy boots to paint up, man.
I tell people, nobody looks down. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah. That's
Sick.
wild.
Damn.
I can imagine.
When I wore this whole outfit, I said,
I wish I had a time
I
machine.
was saying, I said, wait a minute. Well, nobody notices stuff. Yes, they do.
I wish I was a time traveler to go back to see you in the 70s wearing that whole outfit. That'd be an amazing time, and I'd be like, "Yo, I got some acid. I got
Oh, you
some
should see
mushrooms."
you should see the clothes that I used to paint for Maria. Oh, that ain't nothing. The clothes that I used to paint for her were we see one thing we learned as
Oh, here it is. Wow.
Romy said, sew this on for me and all this stuff. Then
So-
we took the back off and her friend drew this on leather.
Oh, wow. So he sold the bottom?
Yeah, that one's a sick.
I sewed it in there.
no, and then I had clothes where I used to walk into
The neckline,
lounges or people. They thought I was a rock star.
So we're airing it out. Then we're
I would walk into places. They go, "Hey man, what band you play for?" I don't play for no band. You know, I
Rolling
was an
Stones.
artist.
young and thin.
But I had all these. But I lost all my clothes when we had the fires. I lost a lot of personal stuff that was.
He always wanted me to like take the collar off or put something over the collar. So I knew how to sew. I said, okay, cool.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So we're airing it out. See what Levi's would do?
Oh,
They're
that's
still
vintage,
good.
man. Those vintage Levi's just by themselves are worth money. And that's a
Right.
whole piece of artwork right there. That shit is
Yeah.
Right.
one of one.
The way it was so funny because people thought I was, "Hey man, you a musician?" No, because I would walk into like different clubs in the early days, and they thought I was actually a performer. Like, no, I ain't no performer. No. But that was what we were doing at that time, you know.
That's definitely still how it is.
Any last questions, sir?
Damn. I'm so amazed by all this information, man. I'm so like,
I got like 1,000, but I know we're short on time.
Yeah. How much of your life did you guys spend traveling, like going to different cities, states, or something like that? Because to me, that influenced me a lot, being in other locations.
Well, I could have traveled more because I was invited to a lot of places, but the government, they took my passport away. Cause I caught a Class X. That's another story.
That's another podcast.
And as a Class X, you're not allowed to leave the United States, and you don't realize the importance of these
You were
things
a rock star. What you mean?
until you want to leave the United States. And I learned the hard way. So that's for another one.
Beautiful. I want to thank you for having us today. I know these guys are heavily influenced and thankful for you. I'm thankful for you, Voyager. You know, we're all thankful for you. I'm probably going to steal another fish taco if they're available.
Of course.
Work of art.
Look at. He's like, wait a minute.
No, he's gonna take the next one.
Yeah.
No, man, eat quick.
Yeah, save me one though.
No, don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, just save me one. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for having us today. The beautiful artwork. I know you've worked with so many people, and you're continuing still to learn and teach. And I find that amazing. And now the artists here find you amazing and inspirational. Any last words to kind of push that along?
Follow your dream, and stay positive to whatever you're doing. That's the most important thing. Discipline, because everybody's just sitting at this table, has discipline because they do what they have to do with nobody telling them what to do.
I love that.
We sit here and we work for hours at a time in our artwork. Nobody told you to do that. That's called discipline. Some of us will sit there in front of a music thing and try to create sounds that never even existed. Discipline. That's what's sitting at this table.